Hello everyone, welcome along. Welcome to Thursday night here at the MODUS Super Series on what is, well, one of the longest days of the year here on the sunny south coast of Portsmouth. The darting entertainment goes on long into the night and into the wee hours. And Group B promises to excite some Champions Week regulars and a real international feel. Alexander Merckx made it through to Champions Week in Series 2. First off, winning the Six Nations Series 2. He'll be looking to do exactly the same here. Meanwhile,
Owen
as
Bates
for
was in the
Owen
top
Bates,
four in Series 3 and posted the highest average of the year on Champions Night in May,
He got the better of Dale
notching a
Pilgrim. He made it through to the
113.66
semi-finals of Champions
against
Week
Dale
last
Pilgrim.
time out.
Paul Hogan
As
is
for
looking for a
Crocodile
finals night
Dundee,
return
Paul
after playing the
Hogan,
opening
he made
session
it
of
on
the
the
live lounge
opening
in
night here
September.
at the live
Well,
lounge in
Crocodile
Portsmouth. He'll be
Dundee
hoping for another
have
Saturday
the
night
fight.
appearance here on the south coast this week.
Sebastian
As for
Białecki provided the stiffest
Białecki, well, he
opposition to
provided
Andy
the stiffest
Bolton in Group
opposition
A.
to
He's looking to maintain
Andy
his
Bolton
100%
in
Saturday
Group A,
qualification
helped with
record.
finishes just like this 120 to get the better of Stefan Belmont.
While Stefan
As
Belmont
for
has
the
been our Swiss
well,
delight.
he was a bit of a
Third in Group
delight so
A,
far this
and
week.
his
Finished
performances
third. He's
on
got every
Wednesday
single
yielded
chance of
some
making it
encouragement
through
coming
to
into
the
tonight's
finale
session.
in a couple of days' time. Yeah, some group in operation this evening. And talking about operations, we have got the asset Paul Nicholson up here on the balcony to talk our way through it in just a second. But first, before we do that, let's have a look at our progress so far this week. This is the bracket so far. Now, yesterday we confirmed Andy Bolton as our first finalist. We're going to see those 5 players in Group B later on this evening. But Group C was our focus this afternoon, where we saw Thomas Junghans, Tommy Lishman, Scott Mitchell drop in for Thomas Junghans, Tommy Lishman, and Adam Atkinson drop in from Group A. James Hubble, Josh Richardson, and Scott Mitchell coming in. We can have a look at the table following the first day's affairs in Group C. And, well, it was a group that was littered with drama, littered with tight matches, and perhaps not a surprise, the fine margins we see in this league table.
Yeah, I think what we had in that group was unpredictability. You think about the strength of Mitchell, the strength of Hurrell, England captains, great experience, but obviously the international flavour as well from the likes of Junghans and from Richardson, because he's an England player as well. But I think the biggest surprise of the day was Thomas getting 8 points, considering what he's been through the last couple of days. I tip my hat to him. He was really good today. He wasn't the best player statistically, but he doesn't have to be. He just has to have the most points, and he's in the top 2. He has a place to defend over the course of Friday's action. But there were some great performances today, and that 106 average from James Hurrell against Scott Mitchell, at one point we thought that that game was going to deliver a record average. It didn't, but the game delivered a really good amount of quality.
So that was Group C. Tonight's attention is on Group B. We're going to have a look at what the bookmakers think about proceedings this evening. We'll go straight into this slide tonight, and I want to take your fancy to the bottom of that list. Owen Bates, a man who actually statistically at the Super Series has the best performance of anyone, made it through to the last 4 of Champions Week last time out. He's got the highest average at the live lounge this year. Is an 8-1 outsider.
Well, if you look at Sebastian being favourite for the group, I kind of get that, considering how well he played yesterday. So that's an immediate impact to those odds. But for Owen to be 8-1, that is absolutely ridiculous. I'm not usually that pent up when it comes to that kind of odds, but that is absolutely ridiculous. 8-1 for him. He's in form. He's played well here before. I have absolutely no idea why he's the outsider, because he has got a level of performance that no player in that group has shown us in the last couple of years. So if you're looking for value, take it while it's there and gamble responsibly.
So Owen Bates, the outsider for the group. Let's talk about the other players I haven't spoken about. We'll talk a little bit more about Sebastian Białecki and Alexander Merckx in a second. We'll begin with Stefan Belmont, because actually yesterday there's a lot of positive signs as far as he was concerned.
There's been positives all week, but he hasn't really shown his highest level. In fact, his highest average in a game is still a losing average. And that's the case for 2 of the 3 best averages that he's posted. So in order for us to see what he can really do, he's got to lift his level by 3 or 4% in certain games against the likes of Bates and possibly Hogan, and maybe Merckx as well, who are coming in tonight. But he is winning games that maybe other people wouldn't.
Paul Hogan, what sort of aim do you expect him to come into this week with?
I think this is a very Paul Hogan-style group, because he doesn't play Challenge Tour. He just plays when he wants. And if he's in the mood, he can do anything he wants. He's got everything still in the locker. And if he makes the top 3 over the next couple of nights, it wouldn't shock me at all.
Well, let's see what the bet builder's saying tonight. This is a compilation of various bets that have been making its way through the markets and exchange, and we put it all together as a treble. Just took our way through these.
Yeah, Merckx against Białecki, having 2 180s or more in that one at 8 to 11. That looks really good to me. We've had a lot of 180s this week. First break of throw, we're going for Hogan against Belmont. It is possible that he's going to get a hot start against Belmont, so 13 to 8 for that. That's an unusual bet, but chucking that in there just swells the accumulator a little bit. And for the match winner of Belmont and Bates, we've gone for Bates, and the odds are so inviting because of what the bookies think of him overall. And I think 7.65 to 1, that looks pretty healthy.
So 18 plus, begambleaware.org. If you're going to have a flutter on the Super Series night. Right, game 1 of our evening sees a battle of Poland and the Netherlands. Sebastian Białecki we've seen on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday in Group A. Whilst Alexander Merckx, well, he's come fresh off the back of a Six Nations success at international level with his native Netherlands. And when you win an event like that, especially a team event, you come into things like this brimming with confidence.
Yeah, he's been playing with some really good players over the last couple of weeks. You think about the World Master, Wesley Plezier, and Moreno Blom and some of the other guys in his squad. He'll have been surrounded by quality over the last couple of weeks. In a team environment, if you win something like that, you will not wait. You'll not want to wait for your next challenge. He's here. He'll be ready. He'll be confident. Watch out, everybody.
Let's see whether Alexander will be the great or whether Sebastian is going to bolt out of the traps. It's game 1 of our evening on this fantastic, thrilling Thursday tungsten bonanza full of action. Paul Nicholson's going to make his way down to the commentary box to describe all of the my apologies, to describe all of the action in the company of Chris Murphy. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Henry. Hello, everybody. And yes, it should be a night of thrills and spills here at the MODUS Super Series. Alexander Merckx, a winner, of course, before here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth, taking on Sebastian Białecki.
Okay, first leg is Alexander to throw
the
first.
best of
Game
the rest
on.
when it came to Group A earlier in the week. Runner-up to a brilliant Andy Bolton, the X-Factor.
137.
Stole the show in that group, but admitted himself that this young Pole posed him a problem. Called him a little annoying dog, Andy Bolton. And he started off
57.
in a very, very exciting fashion here, a 180. Followed by... Oh, no, can you believe it? Can you believe it? That dart was in. That dart was in. Paul Nicholson's just sat down alongside me and should have been putting the mic to his mouth with Sebastian Białecki on 141 for the 9.
Sorry, what did I miss?
He hasn't missed anything yet.
140.
I know his nickname has something to do with a movie dog, but let's face it, he is bolting right now like he's got a bus to catch.
59. Sebastian, you require 61.
What a start to the evening. Sebastian Białecki just carrying on where he left off in Group A.
Yeah, 19 scores.
There's no guarantee after a good Group A that you'll get through, but if he plays like this, he won't just get through, he'll win the whole week.
Game shot
What
the first
a start.
leg. Sebastian Białecki.
Earlier in the week, he was amassing points.
Second against Sebastian.
And people were
to throw
starting
first.
to think that maybe it would be his Group A. But we can't ignore the fact that 24 points from a possible 30, and he did not win
61.
the group. From my time in covering this format, I cannot remember a time when somebody came second on 24
100.
points. Most of the time, we talk about 24 points being a runaway winner of a Group A. Just how frustrated must he be in thinking that
140.
he only lost 3 games in the campaign in Group A and he's still not guaranteed for Saturday.
And Paul beat the group winner twice.
180.
Hits that thrice.
Well, the first part of the bet builder for tonight has been done in 2 minutes 20.
180.
How many are we going to get in this game then if they keep going this way? Come on, lads, this is getting a bit silly.
140. Sebastian, you require 120.
The 140 still puts Merckx in a decent position, but he can't do a thing if Białecki can clean this up. Treble needed. Oh, the wrong one.
35 scores.
A rare blip in this brilliant start to tonight's
50.
action.
Alexander require 81.
That would have been his third 120 finish of the week. No bullseye for Alexander. A slip into the wrong single. And Białecki's got that number that started a new game plan on Wednesday. Starting to avoid 16s and 8s. Starting to leave tops a bit more.
30.
On this occasion,
Alexander
it doesn't
require
work.
36.
Will this work for Merckx?
Game on the second
does.
leg. Alexander Merckx.
And Białecki turns away, having been broken back. I wonder, Paul, and a few of the players
Alexander to throw
come to the MODUS Super Series,
Game on.
and it can be watched back, can't it, the session on our YouTube channel, any of the sessions in full. And I just wonder if
60.
Sebastian had a little look at some of your analysis about him not going for the southwest section of the board, and that might be what changed his tact.
Well, let's face facts. He was
100.
losing legs that he probably shouldn't have lost when it came to Monday and Tuesday. Changing that game plan on Wednesday, he didn't lose a game at all for the
47.
first time this week. I'm not taking any credit for it whatsoever. I don't even know if he watched the stuff back. He may have even figured it out himself. Maybe chatting to some of his close friends back in
59.
Poland, they may have given him an idea. But the idea works. And he's been sensational this week. 35% of the doubles all week. He's hit 54 out of 154 before tonight. Highest finish of 120
100.
twice. Highest average 101.9, one of 3 ton plus averages that we had before today. We got our
58.
4th from James Hurrell, which is now the biggest, over 106. And he's not been bad in the 180 department either.
96.
With the 2 he's got tonight, he's already on 25 for the week.
Yeah, we did see some real high quality stuff this
57.
afternoon. In
Sebastian
particular, that
Record,
match between
46.
Hurrell and Mitchell. Sebastian Białecki, the way he started, is threatening to make Group C look silly.
60.
I hope it is silly. I love a silly group.
94.
I like a
Sebastian
quick,
Require,
silly,
86.
quality group. Can't avoid the 32 this time.
Game
And he
shot
finds
the
it.
third leg.
So maybe he can get them
Sebastian
both
Białecki.
in order if he needs them. It's a break fest, this one. 3 legs, 3 breaks.
Fourth leg, it's Sebastian to throw first. Game
I
on.
just want to bring something up, Murph, because in winning all 5 games yesterday, I was really intrigued this morning doing my statistics about what his daily average would be
85.
and how good he was in his doubles. He had 8 maximums, and that's nowhere near the best
60.
daily total of the week. In fact, Tommy Lishman on Tuesday had 15 for the day. Sebastian had 8 yesterday. But
100.
93.13 for the day. And he hit 20 darts at double out of 40, so 50%.
60.
His worst performance in an individual game was 40%.
Yeah, it's really, really good stuff, isn't it? When you look at his overall statistics at the Super Series, he's won
59.
more than 60% of the matches he's played. The 2 180s in this match have taken his total tally to 75.
84.
And he had a running average overall of just under 88. It looks like he's going to be increasing that this week.
I agree.
180.
In fact, he was running at around 87 and change after Tuesday, but he's gone up a notch in the last
59.
36
Sebastian
hours.
requires 77.
He's maintaining that in this game. Double top. That is the
Game's
first
on the
hole to
fourth
throw in the
leg.
match.
Sebastian Białecki.
He looks too good for Merckx at this point. They are poles apart. No pun intended.
Fifth leg, it's Alexander to throw first. Game on.
Definitely was intended, Paul. I know that. And the intention from Białecki is certainly evident in the way he started this night.
140.
You talked about the win percentage of Białecki as well. Anybody who is 60% and over in their win percentage in the history here is in an elite category.
81.
But Sebastian hasn't won a week. Alexander has.
58.
He's done good stuff in the last year. He's won some good titles. In Switzerland, in Lithuania, in the WDF ranked system. He's won here. He's won that Six Nations in the last few days
59.
with some superb players. He's racking up some good experience.
58.
Yeah, he's a very, very capable player. Sort of wasn't one of the players when he came here the first time that was expected to go and win the title.
130.
He did it very well, the Dutchman.
I like watching him. I think he's exciting. He's got that explosive nature about him.
58.
And if my eyes don't deceive me, because I watch a lot of darts, as you do, Murph, but if you look at the barrels of Merckx, they look remarkably similar
100.
to that of a certain Christoph Ratajski.
Yeah, see what you mean.
57.
Just a
Sebastian
different
Lecointe,
point.
124.
And he's playing one of the other better players from Poland.
Well, he was in that World Cup team last year, wasn't he, Sebastian Białecki? But not this
58.
time when
Alexander
Poland
Lecointe, 130.
broke that record in Frankfurt. Now Merckx looking at double five.
120.
Fails to find it, and that could be
Sebastian
that.
Lecointe, 66.
Double 18. Match start at 9s.
No score.
And it's too many.
Alexander required 10.
What a let-off for Merckx, who now has double
Game
three.
on the fifth leg.
You can't help
Alexander
but laugh at that.
Merckx.
In a flash, he gets a double-double finish that you don't see very often.
Sixth leg, it's Sebastian to throw first. Game on.
Well, it just shows when the luck is with you, doesn't it? Because they've basically thrown the same dart there. He's pulled his low and bust his score, Sebastian.
59.
Merckx has pulled his low, hit a double, which leaves another double, and then he's gone and pinned it.
I think the funniest thing about that exchange there is
100.
just how quickly he's gone for the double three. It's almost like he went for it. Here's the thing about Sebastian, though. It's
137.
a situation like that where certain players could implode. Sebastian doesn't.
140.
I wouldn't want to play cards against him. He doesn't show any emotion.
Try and find
94.
a weakness then for us, Paul, because we have seen Białecki burst onto the scene. He had that run, of course, to the quarterfinals at the UK Open. What is it that he's missing that's stopping him move to the next level quicker?
I don't think there is a weakness. I think he's just really patient. I think at the age of 19, with certain players, you expect them to get to the elite
58.
level quickly.
Alexander Record,
Littler,
121.
Keane Barry, some others as well. Bullseye.
Game
And we are
shot the
going
sixth leg.
all the way.
Alexander
All of a
Merckx.
sudden. What a superb game this has been. And Alexander has been surviving. But when he's given his chance,
Seventh and final leg
He's
is
not the
Alexander to
favourite.
throw first. Game
So-
on.
just one more point about Sebastian. I don't think he's rushing into anything. I think he'd like to get the right amount of
42.
apprenticeship under his belt before he's expected to make the elite level. I think winning on the WDF circuit, winning on the Challenge Tour, the Development Tour, it's all part of his
58.
experience. And I think he will go when he's ready. He will up when he's ready.
Well, Merckx might be upping at the right time here, because that is the
180.
fifth maximum of this match. Helps him close the gap in the averages a little bit, and Białecki has been bossing it in that department. And we mentioned a bit of luck earlier. Well, Alexander's had some in this game, and he might win this game.
41.
Well, I'm in a little bit of shock.
97.
When that 66 was for the match for Białecki, I thought, this one's done. It might still be done,
60.
by his opponent. He's got oodles of time.
80 scored, yeah. 100.
He might have it done in the next 2 darts that he throws. What kind of effect would this defeat have on Białecki, who has a perfect record
94.
of making Saturday nights?
Alexander require 82.
Double 16.
50.
It's not often you see someone go for a second 25 to leave 32. So they've both had a match shot. Seb's had 2. Merckx has had 1.
100. Alexander requires
He gets
32.
another visit.
He's back for more. And he's won the match. Sebastian Białecki started it in staggering fashion, but somehow Alexander Merckx has turned it around, reeling off the last 3 legs after surviving a couple of match darts. And the Dutchman, with an 86 average, hitting half of his doubles, including that fabulous bullseye finish of the 1-2-1, wins the opening match 4-3. What a start. Follow that, Paul Hogan and Stefan Belmont coming next.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where Sebastian Białecki must improve his busts. Busting that double 14 when he was going for double 9, went 3-1 up. And Alexander Merckx coming back to win 4-3, thanks in part to that 121 checkout. Next up for us, it is the first appearance of the week for Paul Hogan, Crocodile Dundee, who played on the opening night here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth. He takes on Stefan Belmont, looking to make it through to the Saturday night occasion. Watching this one, Chris and Paul.
Thanks, Henry. Welcome back to Crocodile Dundee, the 59-year-old from just up the road in Basingstoke. And a welcome back to Stefan Belmont, who's had an okay week so far. If you don't qualify through Group A, which he didn't, getting into Group B is not a bad little plan B.
Game on.
Again, no pun intended. Paul Hogan, what is there you can possibly say about this guy?
100.
Known as the professional amateur. But deep down, he's just a really good dart player. Likes to play whenever he wants. Doesn't concern himself a lot with things 45. Like Q School and Challenge Tour and travelling to tournaments overseas. But he always seems to find his way into something big eventually. And he's been doing this for over 30 years. He can relax at the age of 59. He can be someone who can just enjoy his darts for the rest of his life. There's no pressure on him.
140.
I'll tell you what, Murphy, will definitely want to be part of Saturday night.
Yeah. Fairly local as well, isn't he, Paul Hogan? So he'd love to bring a few fans and get cheered on to victory. He'd love to be part of Champions Week as well, of course. Stefan Belmont, another player in Group A, though, who on another week might have been a title challenger.
Yeah, definitely. I think the strength of Week 7 is starting to come to the fore.
84.
You think about the performance we've just seen from Białecki. That's only his 4th defeat of the week. But this group was always going to deliver. We haven't seen Owen Bates yet. Talked about those odds at 8-1 for him to win this group are absolutely... I don't have the right word for it, actually. So let's move on. Let's see if Paul can hit double 8.
76.
Yeah, Bates, the last cab off the rank, if you like. He's playing in the next match. Stefan Belmont, surely he'll stay there. What a guide. Double 11.
131.
Close, but not close enough.
16.
I'm a big advocate of doing that, and I will tell you why. I'll tell you why now.
Paul
Hogan has taken a leg. I just think, Paul, in those situations, better to have a go at any double than try to leave your preferred double.
I've seen Michael Van Gerwen have 1-3-4 and go 2 treble 20s, double 7. So there must be logic behind it when the greatest player of the last 10 years
41
does something very similar. So let's take the extreme example then. How about
100?
Well, I think 134 probably is the most extreme example, isn't it? Because you're not on 122, you're not going to go 60-60 double 1.
Well, that would be a bit. I think I have seen 124.
That one I can understand.
Yeah.
Because the 60 is your primary target.
You're not going to bust. The double 1 is probably dicing with danger 100. A little bit too much, isn't it? But yeah, I genuinely think even if you haven't got a marker, you throw out treble 20 all the time. If you feel you have to hit because they're in a double, go treble 20, double 11, 60. Treble 20, double 7, whatever it is.
You're proving my point that I've been hammering on about for about the last 10 years. Any double is better than no
100.
double. And my whole thought process is leave the bull instead of no-shotted bull. When people have got 62 left with 2 darts and they go greedy on the treble. Next thing you know,
180.
you get a 9 and you don't leave the bull. But Belmont halves his score with that max. First one of the game.
130.
Stefan's had a really weird week because he's won a fair few games.
60.
But I don't think we've seen the best of him.
71.
In fact, his best average of the week, 91.31, is a losing average.
Well, that's a missed big number. Now, what's he doing going for the 25? That kind of proves the point that Paul was just making.
No shot at double. On 65 there, it's a single 15.
31.
Your opponent's on 120.
120.
He's hit 150 this week. That's a great guide for a 60 shot. And he misses the marker. So Hogan dodges a bullet.
44. Paul, you require 40.
In the end, he gets his go. And that could be usable. Hasn't been able to make use of it. Double 10.
30.
He's handing this
Stephen,
to
you
his
require
opponent.
76. Yeah, one scored.
Well, now you've got to go 25. So typical. How many times does that happen?
52.
And
We require
don't
10.
think that's unlucky, because you should be going for the 25 in that shot, not going for the centre. Double 2.
Well, he can't
6.
find it. It's all going wrong for both players
Stephen, you
here.
require 24.
Belly got bully, but Belly didn't want bully. And now Hoagie's missed again. So double 12. Double 6.
Game
And
shot the
finally,
second leg.
the leg ends,
Stefan
and it is
Belmont.
in the ledger under the name Stefan Belmont. But Paul Hogan will be wondering how on earth that happened.
So like it's Paul to throw
One thing the
first.
players are going to have
Game
to
on.
deal with tonight is the fact that the venue tonight is feeling a little muggy. Stormy style weather outside.
100.
But dart players would much rather be a little warm than a little chilly, because the muscles will still stay supple.
134.
Do you think that Paul has underperformed with us in the past? Because he's been playing with us in
41.
the MODUS Super Series since the very first staging in Southampton.
Yeah, he's one of those players that spent his whole career under the radar, isn't he, really, Paul Hogan?
100.
But he had some big, big moments. I think he'd like a big, big moment here. I think there'll be plenty of people that like to see that as well.
Yeah, I agree. Very popular guy.
140.
Like I say, he's been around a long time. He's got a lot of friends. If he makes Saturday night, I'm sure most of them would get in the car and come here. And if you want to be here,
60.
quite simple. Scan that code, and you can find out how. Andy Bolton's there on Saturday night.
40.
Might be a few more legends as well that you might want to get close and personal with.
Well, this is a contrast to how the first match was.
79.
Do you think that actually, I mean, it's very early to say this, but do you think actually these are the two players who are the least likely to get through this group based on what we saw in that first match and how well Owen Bates played last time he was here?
Yeah, I think you make a very fair
128.
point. I didn't really want to speculate as to who the possible weaker links would be, because I didn't want to disrespect these two guys. But if you think about what Merckx has done,
44. Well, you require
what Białecki's
80.
done this week, and what Bates has done, then on statistics and form alone, you would have to say that those three are the favourites to make it through.
That's a good rescue act.
60. Stephen, you
There
require
were too many
84.
mistakes though at the end of legs, not just on the doubles themselves, but on approach in these situations. Missed big numbers and the like. No mistake there.
Game
No
shot
mistake
the
at
third
all
leg.
from Stefan Belmont,
Stefan Belmont.
who turns this around. 2-1 he leads. And once again, Paul Hogan scratches his head, shakes his head,
Fourth leg,
and
it's
wonders
Stefan to
how he's
throw
not
first.
ahead.
Game on.
Well, that stance is full on Paul Hollywood. Hands in pockets, thinking, what's going on? A little bit underbaked so far, Paul. Got to start finding the crust.
140.
Yeah, it has been a frustrating start
60.
for Hoagie, who has had darts to win every single leg in this match, but finds himself behind.
Doesn't change his equipment very often, does he, Paul Hogan? Those darts have got some age.
100.
I'd love to know how long he's been playing with them. He's probably got a bag of those flights at home. It'd be like one of those jars you see at the fairground.
60.
Guess how many jelly beans are in the jar? He's probably got about 10,000 flights in a bag. Whereas Belmont, he's just a no-nonsense kind of player. Doesn't say much.
95.
He's been separated from his Swiss mate this week, who had a really good Group C day today.
Yeah, that was a surprise, wasn't it? Just based on how things had gone the previous 2 days.
100.
He equalled a record of the most whitewash defeats in a row earlier in the week, Thomas Youngans, and then he wins 4 out of 5 to top Group C overnight.
96.
Try and figure darts out at your peril.
Well, now we're seeing maybe the misses and the mistakes getting to Paul Hogan, because in this
95.
leg, Belmont has
Stephen,
pulled
you
away.
requires 70.
You can't underestimate this guy. He's got quality. Still 2-8s with his opponent not on a finish.
Game shown the 4th.
And that's a nice 15
Stephen
darter.
Belmont.
Just to emphasise his advantageous position.
5th leg, it's Paul to throw first. Game on.
Very wise from Stefan to take a towel on stage. And maybe the experience
81.
of playing here this week, admittedly during the day, he will be more in tune with the conditions than maybe Paul Hogan is.
Yeah, but, to be fair, a few players walked in tonight
42.
who haven't been here this week and immediately mentioned how warm it felt.
Well, this is darts, and it's summertime.
140.
You've got the amount of experience that Hogan has. You'll know that venues can't really be fully air-conditioned because of the way that
40.
these darts need to travel. You can't interfere with that with highly powered air conditioning.
Well, just think back to famous games where there's been a draft on the stage. It's caused all sorts of problems, hasn't it? Adrian Lewis against James Wade being perhaps the most famous one, semi-final of the World Championship.
Have you listened to that podcast yet?
Yeah, I did listen to that.
James
Wade
and Simon Jordan
referenced that, didn't he?
60.
And he said it was the worst mistake of his career. That was that he should have played on, he said, because Adrian's head had gone at that point.
And he said he would have won that final easily against Andy Hamilton. I thought that was
60.
a fairly courageous thing to say.
Andy Hamilton, of course, a man who we have seen here at the Super Series.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen the last of the hammer.
77.
Stefan's first attempt at putting the hammer down has come up short. And we all thought that Białecki was going to win easily
100.
from his position in the first match. So don't take for granted that Belly is going to get the 2 points in this contest. Hogan might have something else to say.
100.
Right, this
We
time,
require 82.
starting on the bullseye. 17. And double top.
62.
Again, just towards the end of a leg, it can start to get sticky for Paul Hogan. He's missed 9 darts at double in this game. The last thing he wants is a big score here from Belmont, and that's happening. And then he does not want... Perfect.
150.
He does not want this first dart to go inside.
Games on the 5th leg. Paul
That's a
Hogan.
quality dart. For a minute, I thought Belmont was going to lead double one, you know. Just to prove what we were talking about in using that 60 to leave any double. But
game on.
he had the better approach, but it wasn't good enough.
Well, there are a few pragmatists on the stage that would have done that just to get the 180 call from the referee.
57.
Because here at the Super Series, even though there's not an audience during the week, allowing the referee Owen Binks to bellow out his 180 call might just rattle the cage of an opponent.
85.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised to hear that. I've had a change of referee from Charlie Costerfield this afternoon. We've got Owen Binks on the stage now. So it's going to be an Owen off on the stage next.
140.
With Bates and Binks.
85.
That happens too many times for me. He has this little jump on dart 3 and he loses the weight of the dart, whether it's high or low. You must throw dart 3 the same way as darts 1 and 2.
100.
Yeah, and those 5s and 1s that aren't 20s make a big difference, don't they? When it comes to the crunch. Or 3s when you're going for 19s. Or 5 when you're going for 20s.
78.
That's the problem for Paul Hogan. 3 visits in a row in this leg. He's misfired. And he's misfired 4 times out of 9 darts.
And this guy's not misfiring. He's been very straight.
180.
It doesn't get any better than that. Leaving a double after 12. I don't think belly is going to be broken
140. Here. Stephen, you require 24.
So then double 12 to get the job done. Hit it once already in this match, and he hits it
match.
to win this match.
Stephen
Paul
Belmont.
Hogan may hurt a little bit after that one. He could have easily been 3-0 up in the game. Instead, he loses it by 4 legs to 2. Belmont just clinical on his finishing. A couple of double 12s, one to win the match, one for that 84 checkout, and the Swiss player makes a strong start. Coming next, Alexander Merckx returns. He takes on Owen Bates.
Every Saturday, we open our doors for our weekly finals night.
For a unique and intimate darts experience.
Meet the Dart Stars and even the team off the telly
Here at our purpose-built venue in Portsmouth.
every single Saturday evening.
Tickets can be booked via this QR code
Or at www.dartshop.tv for a very small booking fee.
Follow us at MSS Darts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok.
For all the latest ticketing news.
All you need to do, log on, book, turn up, and the action gets underway from 7:30 p.m.
So what are you waiting for?
Get your tickets to the darts.
We look forward to welcoming you to the MODUS Super Series very soon.
And a very warm welcome back to the Super Series. So before the break, we saw Belmont get off to a brilliant start. Stefan Belmont getting the better of Paul Hogan by 4 legs to 2, with double 12 being a real friend to the Swiss slinger. Right, next up for us, it's a first appearance of the week for Owen Bates. He made it through to the last 4 of Champions Week. Last time we saw him here at the Live Lounge. He takes on Alexander Merckx. Now, before we get this one underway, these two, in their practice darts before he came on stage, hit a collective 9 darter between the pair. A little bit of a tease as we head to Chris and Paul.
Oh, so one went 182, the other went 180, then the other went 141. I see. Well, you can't play together now. You're playing against each other, the pair of them. And as Henry said, Owen Bates was electric, wasn't he, when he had that run on the big finals night at Champions Week. But Alexander Merckx, he had a fantastic run on the week.
Okay, first leg, it's Owen to throw first.
As well.
Game on.
He was in a difficult finals night. It included the WDF World Champion Neil Duff. It also included Graham Hall, who's gone on to play on the PDC Pro Tour. So I think we could be looking at a very decent darting duel here.
I agree.
100.
I'm only going to say it one more time. But the odds for Bates to win this group at 8 to 1, the rank outsider. Give me a break, will you? Look at the way he started.
140.
Now, this is my first time watching Owen Bates up close.
140.
His stance is very unorthodox. His throw is quite unorthodox. Actually, he's got a very crunched right hand.
100.
But you've got to work with what is natural to you. Very natural style, and it works. I'm sure
85. I mean,
if he could, he'd probably
121.
take about 4 or 5 inches off his legs just to make himself a bit more comfortable. But he doesn't care.
89.
That'll do.
Yep, doesn't have to think about the finish. Happy to leave double 16, which he absolutely adores, by the way.
I mean, it requires 32.
If he could send it a Valentine's Day card, he would.
Does he have to stoop a little bit more for 32?
Game show the first leg.
Fast
Owen
start
Bates.
from Bates. And that's something that Merckx knows all about, because he was
Second against
vastly
Alexander
behind
to throw
against
first.
Białowski in game 1. Didn't panic. Waited for his chance and took it.
Yeah, and that might actually help him in this
83.
game. Just a repeat experience, but we are getting the Owen Bates experience here. Now, he did have that fantastic run last time he was here, but
140.
he also played very recently at the PDC Pro Tour and the Development Tour.
60.
I actually bumped into him in the airport on the way back, and he was very disappointed. He actually only won £75 in prize money over 5 tournaments
58.
that weekend, and he was really annoyed, but he was looking forward to getting back here.
Nice to have that new opportunity, though. But when you play on the Pro Tour,
140.
it's supposed to be hard. He's had plenty of experience and exposure to it this year.
171.
Is there anything he can't do? We're about to find out. He's played 14 matches on the Pro Tour this year as an alternate.
96.
He's won 3 of them. Beat
132.
Labanauskas, Ted Everts, Andrew Gilding, the UK Open champion.
Bullseye. Bullseye. Double 16. Oh, how close was that?
Alexander, you record 122.
Watch out. Oh, Alex, second time you've done it tonight.
106. Owen, it requires 16.
Well, Owen Bates, who I said adores double 16, has missed it twice. And
No
now
score.
having trouble on double 8 as well. The second
only
dart in
requires
particular
16.
was a mile away. That's more like a millimetre.
But he's getting further away.
8. Owen, it requires 16.
If at first you can't succeed,
Game
Get
shot
it
on the
next time.
second leg.
2-0
Owen
Bates.
Well, Paul Nicholson said it at the start of the night and at the start of this match. Bates at 8
Feel like it's Owen to throw first. Game on.
was very, very good value. Of course, if you are having a flutter, do so responsibly. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org for information of
95.
safe gambling. But that's already looking a little bit silly, isn't it, Paul?
It was even before a dart was thrown.
100.
Simple as that. Now, I know he only won a short or a little amount of money when he went to Germany recently. But when you are an alternate player, you're not going to be
48.
seeded. You are going to run into some big names. You ran into Dave Chisnell last week. That was his first game on the
100.
Pro Tour. And then he got Ricardo Pietreczko the next day and lost by 6 legs to 3. He ran Chizzy close. Lost 6-5 in the end.
60.
But I think the thing he's got to learn when playing best of 11 darts is that you've got to maintain that high level of performance
125.
for a very long period. Stick with those guys, you're going to have to average 93 plus pretty much all the time to have
96.
success. Maybe that's something that he will figure out over the next couple of years.
55.
Well, Alexander Merckx here may have to figure out a 1-2-1 checkout because Bates is likely to leave something smaller. Less likely now,
94. Alexander Rock
but does
121.
slightly more favourable. Treble 17 would give him a shot at the bullseye. He's hit that already tonight,
97.
but he's not going to have a go at it here.
108.
Pick your route. Looks like 19s because that could leave 32, which he does. And he takes it for 3-0.
Owen Bates.
Very, very good. Average of 92 for the 3-0 lead. Merckx has actually got a better average,
Game
but has only had 3 darts at a double compared to 3 times that for Owen.
60.
It's high standard. It really has started well tonight. The Belmont-Hogan battle, maybe not quite as high quality as the 2 matches involving Merckx, but just goes to show what you were saying earlier, Paul, that maybe
59.
these 3, Bates, Merckx and Białecki, are going to potentially run away. You might get a boring Group B. Boring in terms of competitiveness, but brilliant in terms of quality.
I see what you mean.
42.
I was a little bit distracted by Owen's stance, actually, because as you know about me, you've known me long enough, I do like a lot of different sports.
60.
But when he gets into his stance here, and it takes him a few seconds to get comfortable, it almost looks like he's about to go into a triple Lutz in ice skating. He decreases his height by about a foot when he stoops over that hockey. He's probably throwing from about 6 feet.
I think when I first ever threw darts, I actually tried to do that,
22.
just assuming that being closer to the board would make it easier. It's not actually the case always, is it?
Not at all.
By the way, talking about the opposite of a boring Group B, I'm sure you were watching last
85.
week, but we were 1 result away. The last result of the night, if it had gone the other way, every single player would have ended the group on 8 points.
33.
Now that's exciting. How good has this been?
140.
I think the only thing missing from this game has been a maximum. We haven't had any.
Right, Owen Bates will try and make sure that doesn't happen.
97. On your record, 190.
Which route will he employ? 19s is the usual route. Finds a 57. That's interesting.
87.
Because he could have given himself a go at the bullseye.
percentage play, you could say.
134
And more people are doing that now than ever.
32.
He played the percentages.
Game shot
and
and
then
the match.
Bates did
Owen
the
Bates.
biz. A 4-0 victory over Alexander Merckx. That is the perfect start for the Master, who has demolished Merckx. He won his first match of the night, but he ran into a rampant Owen Bates, whose 108 checkout helped him to a whitewash win. Sebastian Białowski and Paul Hogan will be on stage after this.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series. And before the break, Owen Bates got his campaign off to a perfect start, getting the better of Alexander Merckx by 4 legs to nil, helped him route by a 108 finish. Next up for us, it's Sebastian Białowski in action. He's taking on Paul Hogan. Both players look at their first win of the night. Watching this one, Chris and Paul.
Thank you very much, Henry. Well, based on what we've witnessed so far, and this is no disrespect at all to the ultra-experienced, ultra-capable Paul Hogan, this should be a mismatch. Białowski has been fantastic. The 19-year-old former UK Open semi-finalist, nicknamed the Bolt, and he was off like Usain Bolt in his opener. But he was beaten in the end by Alexander Merckx in a thrilling first match. But Paul Hogan was left scratching and shaking his head as he went down
Okay,
4-2
first
to
against
Stefan
Sebastian to
Belmont.
throw first.
Now,
Game
things
on.
can change from match to match, and we're all very aware of that. But do you agree? What from the evidence of the night so far, Białecki should run riot.
Yeah,
60.
he should, based on what we've seen, but he may feel bruised, Mike Bolt, because he didn't walk away with the 2 points in that first game of the evening. In
44.
fact, because both of them lost their first game, it now means that our table will have 4 players on 2 points at the conclusion of this 4th match of the night.
99.
Something in the region of
60.
45 to 60 minutes down the road for Paul Hogan to get to Portsmouth. Whenever he qualifies for Lakeside, it's even closer.
100.
And that's somewhere that Białecki is destined to go to later in the year because he won the Denmark Masters last year.
21.
One of the premier events in the WDF circuit, which got him an invitation. And that will be just another thing to put on his CV
84.
as part of this learning process prior to the age of 21.
The 158 is actually his highest checkout here at the
100.
Super Series, looking to repeat that
158.
feat. Won't quite manage it. You mentioned Paul Hogan and qualifying for Lakeside. Well, he's done that a few times. In fact, it's a
38.
record 6 times that he's come through the qualifier to make it to Lakeside. That's some going because a lot of people turn up for that.
140.
From all over the world.
Sebastian Record, 120.
Not just domestically, internationally. Another 120 effort. He's already got 2 for the week.
100. Paul Record, 136.
Well, this would be the total opposite experience if Hogan were to take that out than the first match where he was giving chances to his opponent. This time he can't
60.
take a half chance.
Sebastian, you require
And he's relying
20.
on Białecki to miss more darts at double. But he won't.
Game shot in the first leg. Sebastian Białecki.
What are your thoughts on Polish darts
Second
at the
against
minute,
Paul
Murph?
to throw
Because
first. Game on.
I can't ever remember it being stronger than it is right now with Ratajski and Kachuk, Steyer, Białecki.
100.
Saganski's played so well at the minute.
He's the one to watch for me at the moment, Radek Zaganski. He could be winning a PDC Pro Tour event this year.
135.
Of course, lives over in Ireland, in Cork. But yeah, Polish darts, I mean, just forget the players for a moment and just think about
60.
that World Series event that's going there. The fact that the PDC sold that out with very little marketing in a matter of hours. The appetite. I'm sure there's a few watching in Poland to
140.
support Sebastian Białecki right now.
And if you are, please get in touch with us at MSS Darts on social media. We'd love to hear from you, and particularly where you are watching from in Poland. Are you from
60.
Lodz? Are you from Warsaw? Krakow? Tell us. We want to know. We are intrigued about where Polish darts is going next. We're excited by it.
121.
You let me down there. I thought you were going to deliver a message in Polish, Paul.
I only know one word.
100.
And even when I had a chance to say that to
105.
Ratajski when he won the 2019 Gibraltar Darts Trophy, I got it wrong live on the air. More fool me.
So I assume it's the equivalent of
85.
congratulations.
Yeah, gratulacja.
There we go.
Only practiced it about 25 more times after I'd said it.
Maybe you'll be saying it to Sebastian Białecki come Saturday.
97.
Double
Sebastian
10
required
again.
20.
Double 5. Won't throw until he's ready, until everything feels good.
No
But
score.
that is the
Paul
wrong
required
bed.
84.
Yeah, that's what we call doing a Taylor. Hitting double 12 when you need double 5.
He needs double 12. And that is the
Gauge on the
ultimate
second leg.
salt in the
Paul
wound
Hogan.
shot from Paul Hogan, because his dart also drifted left, but it stayed in the double he needed.
So let's get
1-1.
Sebastian to throw first. Game on.
Do you remember when Taylor did that against Aidan Kirk?
Twice in a row, yeah.
Was it against Aidan Kirk? Or
Yeah,
was
it was. 130 checkouts, weren't they? 60-60-24. Came back, 60-60-24 again.
That's someone we
100.
haven't heard from Aidan Kirk in a while. I wonder what he's up to.
Yeah, he got beaten by Kirk, and Peter Wright was also beaten by Aidan Kirk in that same tournament. Speaking of the UK Open, that's somewhere
31.
Paul Hogan has been 7 times.
I thought you were going to sell me down the river there, Murph. He was the last person to beat me in the UK Open.
100.
I was coming to that.
I don't mind. He played better than I did. I think it was 10-5.
He lost to
45.
Gerwin Price in a great 2017 tournament when he beat Gary Anderson and Adrian Lewis.
Not a bad little hit
13.
list, that. Does love Minehead, does Hoagie. Love to see him back there potentially in 2024.
44.
And we know how good Białecki can be at Minehead. He made the quarterfinals last year. That really was a turn-up for the books. Great story.
60.
Yeah, the young guns turned out. Keen Barry as well. Yeah, don't think it will be too long before we see Białecki as a regular
45.
Pro Tour player. You made a good point in commentary earlier this week that it really is a bona fide professional darts player, just doesn't have that status as a tour card holder yet.
Yeah, I think he's very much
60.
comfortable with playing a lot of darts and having this freedom at the minute to play here on the WDF circuit. There's a lot of domestic stuff in Poland as well, which he really enjoys. But ultimately, his ambition is to be a top pro.
Some funny stuff going on here because Paul Hogan hit 60 to leave 168, which is very bad maths. And then
40.
Sebastian Białecki just fancied filling up
21.
the treble 20 bed to leave 21.
So what's he going to do? 1 for double 10? Maybe this is why. He had a
Game
score to
on the
settle on
third
double
leg.
10.
Sebastian
Consider it settled.
Białecki. Fourth leg, it's Paul to throw first. Game
So
on.
2-1 to the 19-year-old Polish prodigy.
Just a matter of 40 years between them.
100.
Yeah, certainly of senior age Paul Hogan. There's another World Seniors tournament coming up this weekend.
Just to give you an indication of the age gap
137.
between these two, Paul Hogan played at Lakeside 9 years before Sebastian was born.
41.
That's it. That's the end of the point. Back when his hair colour was not grey and he wasn't wearing a yellow and green shirt.
123.
You might think it's got something to do with Australia, but I'm reliably informed that his dart shirts are more to do with his love of West Bromwich Albion.
Yeah, big baggies
41.
fan. Paul Hogan.
$58.
I did put it out there this week to see which team Bolt supports, but nobody got in touch. Nobody seems to know.
They would try and ask him,
60.
but well, his English is better than my Polish, but we can't have a fully blown conversation.
Here's the funny thing. I think it took about 3 years
92.
for me to get a word out of Steve Lennon. I still don't hear him talk. I've been in the same rooms as Sebastian for the last couple of years. I've never heard him say a
137.
word.
Sebastian required 91.
Finds a bullseye, 41 remaining, so it will be tops. This is his new MO,
51.
but it's over the top and it allows
122.
Hogan a chance. Treble 18 the target, and still. But he fails to find it. No go at the bullseye.
37.
And I think he knows the
Sebastian
rest.
required 40.
He spends more time on 10s
Game
than
shot
anybody
the 4th leg.
this week now.
Sebastian Białecki.
And he's getting a lot of success from the right side of the hockey as well. I just think it looks like a really good
5th leg, it's
natural shot
Sebastian
for
to
him.
throw first. Game on.
Sometimes it's good when somebody, like myself or yourself, Murph, where we
140.
just try and figure out over the course of many, many matches, because this is his 17th of the week, this sample size, this experience of playing so
55.
many legs, you figure out what works and what doesn't. And if he's unlocked something this week, even if he doesn't go on to win the week, if he's figured out a way to
97.
shorten his legs overall over the year, how will that change his fast track to where he wants to be? That's what fascinates me.
180.
Sometimes you just stumble on something, don't you, and it works for you. And that is the 180 cheered by the crocodile. A snappy response from Białecki.
180.
From the annoying dog. That's what Andy Bolton said.
Well, it might be see you later, alligator, in a moment.
55. Sebastian require 84.
Treble 20 for double 12. Doesn't have to go the 14 ball route. And he tried very hard to leave double top
44.
again.
Yeah, he's doing everything to leave it. He's got all of the tools to leave the double that is working. Go treble 8. Go single 10.
140.
He's got it all.
Sebastian required 40.
But he keeps hitting double 10. Can he hit tops?
Game
He does.
shot and
And it's a top performance from Sebastian Białecki to leave Hogan without a win from 2 matches. And Bolt gets off the mark for the night. A 4-1 success. 4 out of 11 on the doubles. A couple of maximums in there as well. And he is looking very, very promising for a place at finals night. Białecki beats Paul Hogan 4-1. Coming up after the break, Stefan Belmont takes on Owen Bates.
Welcome back, everyone, to the MODUS Super Series, where before the break, Sebastian Białecki, well, just did Sebastian Białecki things. Solid average, decent doubling, and a 4-1 victory against Paul Hogan. Well, the action's been fast, it's been furious, it's been frantic. We've reached the halfway point already as the king of Belmonte takes on the master. Stefan Belmont against Owen Bates is game number 5. And watching this one, Chris Murphy and Paul Nicholson.
Thank you very much, Henry. Yeah, the action continues, and it's been decent stuff so far tonight. Owen Bates, the most decent of it all, with that 4-0 win over Alexandra Merckx in the third match of the evening. Before that, Belmont beat Hogan. And one of these pair will be the only undefeated player in this group at the end of the match. The question is, which one?
You got to fancy Bates.
Okay, first leg, it's Stefan to throw first. Game on.
Based on what we saw in game number 3, very tidy stuff. 88.4 on the average and 40% on the doubles. Belmont not too far behind that. In fact, less than half a point.
140.
So are we going to see the best of Stefan late at night as opposed to earlier in the morning and the lunchtime session from the last 3 days?
140.
That's an interesting point that Paul makes there, because we have seen many times players who have got really close in Group A fall apart in Group B, and we've seen other players who have struggled in Group A, maybe snuck into third place
49.
and had really good Group B campaigns.
Who's the first person that comes to mind for you when I mention playing better at night?
180.
Because mine is Chaz Barstow.
Yeah, good call. I was about to ask if you meant at the Super Series or generally. Because I think there are 1 or 2 on the PDC where if they get shoved in an
59.
afternoon session, they're not often at their best, but when they're in front of the big crowd in an evening, they really do come alive.
Anybody in mind?
I would
60.
put Dave Chisnell in that category.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Well, Owen Bates is carrying on as we expected and billed him to do so. A 180 and a 140 in this opening leg.
140. Only record 121.
You know what's even scarier? Owen might not have stopped growing yet. He might get taller. He might have to stoop even more over the next couple of years.
20 scored, yeah.
Just be putting the darts into the board. He'll be unbeatable.
74. So
Is there a rule against that?
13.
If he can't actually do it?
Well, Belmont might pick his pocket here. He opts for tops.
Game shown.
And he completes it as well. What a checkout that is. Owen Bates can only respect that. A 15-dart hold. Bates would have had to have gone out in a dozen there. Could have. He left 1-2-1 after 9, but couldn't complete the finish, and Stefan Belmont could.
You ever notice that Owen's got that haircut that pretty much
121.
every young man has under the age of 25? They go into the barbers, they say, sides in the back, get it all off. Leave the top alone.
83.
Apart from him.
Well, he went to the cheaper barber next door.
60.
Probably gets his haircut in the same place he buys his shoes.
No, they're expensive. It's custom made, believe me.
96.
I don't want to keep having little jibes on at our referee Owen Binks, but just think about how we talk about how close Owen Bates is to the dartboard. Imagine how far away Owen Binks would be when he towed the hockey.
Yeah, he does have feet like Sideshow Bob. He's probably sick of me comparing him to Simpsons characters.
92.
But even though he lost that first leg, Bates has continued this very good heat map around this 60 bed. I think if you were
100.
searching for a word to describe the style of Owen, for me it's rangy. There's a lot of real estate used up with his wingspan,
60.
with his setup,
Only require 80.
with the stance. It's not compact. Let's put it that way.
Well, he chooses to go for double 10 here. I did wonder I did wonder
70.
with Stefan
Giving you a
Belmont
require
on
170.
170 whether he might have gone 16s on 80. He prefers that section of the board. And now I wonder if he'll split with the first dart on return.
58.
That was wise
Only
from
required
Belmont
10.
because that second dart was dangly. He hits that, it's on the floor.
No splitting. No splitting. But no hitting
score.
either. And Stefan
Stefan
Belmont, who took out
112.
113 to steal the opening leg, now wants 112 to nick the second.
It's still on. Bullseye. The belly on the bull to Bruce Bates.
87.
Oh, that was close.
Only required 10.
Maybe just knocked himself out of his own rhythm then by having to check the score. Still persevering on the double. Still persevering. Can't
No
find
score.
it.
Still
Goes
only
back to
required
what I said earlier.
25.
170. Look, it's unorthodox to go for treble 16 on 80, but that would maybe have been his preference had Belmont not been on a
The
finish.
second leg. Stefan Belmont.
Maybe he could have gone that route and finds himself in trouble here.
There's a certain connotation with numbers
So
here
look
as
at
we go into leg
Stefan to
3.
throw first. Game on.
Bates, before we started, was on 8s. And when it comes to doubles missed, he's missed 8.
41.
8 points in this group, is that enough for the top 3? I am not sure.
Well, last week somebody did miss out, didn't they?
119.
Because we had 4 players on 8 points. Sorry, 3 players on 8 and 1 on 10 and 1 on 6. It could have been 5 on 8. In fact, that last match, Lee Budgeon played Fallon Sherrick. He lost it. Sherrick went and
57.
topped the group and went through. Budgeon going into that match, Paul, this is how ridiculous Group B was last week. He could have only finished in 2 places, top or bottom.
44.
It's like a really bad game of strike it lucky. What do you want, top or bottom? What about middle?
Well, Belmont here is effectively halfway through this.
59.
2 up, 2 away.
Was I right in hearing that Henry called him the King of Belmonte?
Yeah.
I thought it was the man from Del Monte that he was.
100.
Yeah, Henry Deacon has been known to mix up his lines from time to time.
You know where they are? Del Monte? Hawaii.
I got a nice can of pineapples in the fridge,
Yeah,
Paul.
they're Hawaiian. That's
100.
where you get all the best pineapples in the world. I've been to the plantation.
Why does that not surprise me?
Well, I don't think Stefan's been to that plantation,
100.
but we'll call him the man from Belmonte.
Well, he's doing everything, everything
100.
to annoy Owen Bates here. 138 needed. Another for double 12.
114.
But at the moment, Master Bates just can't finish off.
Double 16. It's
Game shot, the
3-0.
third leg. Stefan
Bates has
Belmont.
had 9 darts at a double, hasn't hit any of them. Belmont's hit 3 from 4.
For Vegas Owen to throw first. Game on.
There you see that reflected. 75% success
91.
from Stefan Belmont. I'll let you at home work out the success rate for Owen Bates. And it's unexpected, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. When you consider how
97.
many shots he got in his first game and how many he hit. This is a direct reversal. This evening is flying by.
100.
End of game 5 will be the halfway point. And Belmont will have Białecki, his 4th meeting with the pole this week in game 7.
140.
We'll finish up against Alexander Mertz in game 9. Bates has got the dessert course. He's playing Białecki in game 10.
140.
I just wonder how many points he's going to have when he plays that final game.
Trying to get over that low dart. He's been quite adept at doing that this week.
Could go 17s here, but decides to persevere on the 60.
100. I mean, you require 170.
The big one for Bates.
$96. Stephen, you require 164.
Biggest finish of the week, 150. That remains the case. And Owen cannot miss any more doubles.
58. I mean, it requires 74.
Will get at least one dart at the outer ring. And he's done the flatty.
34. Stephen, you require 106.
I love that.
He will do that. He did it on a 120 checkout successfully last time he was here. But Belmont has been doing this kind of thing. He sees the door open.
86.
This
I mean, it
time,
requires 40.
he hasn't managed to walk through.
I really thought he was going to hit that. Eight misses
20.
again. Unlucky
Stephen,
for some,
required 20.
13 darts missed at double. And Belmont gets a chance for a bagel.
Game
And he
shot
does
and the match.
indeed
Stefan
complete
Belmont.
a 4-0 win. Owen Bates himself won by that scoreline in his opener tonight. But that has been cancelled out effectively. And it is Stefan Belmont who is the only player to have played 1-2 in this group. Look at that. None out of 13 for Owen Bates. Stefan Belmont, 4 out of 6. That tells the story, and the rest of the story will be played with Alexandra Merckx taking on Paul Hogan next.
Every Saturday, we open our doors for our weekly finals night.
For a unique and intimate darts experience.
Meet the Dart Stars and even the team off the telly
Here at our purpose-built venue in Portsmouth.
every single Saturday evening.
Tickets can be booked via this QR code
Or at www.dartshop.tv for a very small booking fee.
Follow us at MSS Darts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
For all the latest ticketing news.
All you need to do, log on, book, turn up, and the action gets underway from 7:30 p.m.
So what are you waiting for?
Get your tickets to the darts.
We look forward to welcoming you to the MODUS Super Series very soon.
Yeah, why don't you join us on a Saturday night here at the Super Series and sample the unique atmosphere there is to offer. And you may well see some scintillating darts, because that's exactly what we've seen this evening so far. Paul Nicholson alongside me on the balcony. This is what we've seen in the opening half of our session. Well, first things first, pretty much everything, apart from that Belmont victory against Paul Hogan, has gone with the darts.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think the shock result tonight for me was Białecki getting such a hot start. And then Merckx just nicking it at the end. But I don't think anybody expected Owen Bates to lose 4-0 to Stefan Belmont, considering the start that he had against Merckx. So what we have here is a very interesting Group B dynamic, where the only thing we've really learned in the first 5 matches is that Paul Hogan is now chasing everybody else.
Well, let's have a look at Stefan Belmont's evening so far then. We said at the beginning of the programme he had a really good Wednesday. Maybe it's something for him to kick on with, and it's exactly what he's done tonight.
Yeah, he has. He's looked pretty cool under a fair bit of heat in here tonight. The heat has been rising and he has been perspiring, but he's been managing it really, really well. And he doesn't have to be his absolute brilliant best. When he's given chances, he's taking them. Should he have won that game 4-0 against Owen? Absolutely not. Did he? Yes. He's managing situations excellently.
Well, Stefan Belmont, then the only player to have won both of his matches this evening. This is how the table looks at the halfway stage. Belmont leading the way. Białecki, Bates, Merckx all on 2. Paul Hogan on 0 points. We thought it'd be a group that's going to be hard to call. It's turning out to be exactly that.
Yeah, absolutely right. I think Paul is probably wanting at least 2 points to go back home with tonight. And if he doesn't do that, then he really is up against it when it comes to night 2. But everybody else is definitely feeling it in some way, shape or form. And as to who's going to be leading at the top of the table by the end of the night, I haven't got a clue. And that's great.
And that is what we love about it. Well, Owen Bates, so it's been a night of complete mixed fortunes so far. He gets out the traps flying, 4-0 win against Alexander Merckx. And I think we thought possibly that from that point onwards he could make a real kick, and that 8-1 could look a little bit silly.
Yeah, I think Chris Murphy made a really good point actually about the approach shot that he had earlier in that game. He didn't have to go necessarily to the 20s department. He could have used something that was a bit more likeable for him. By not doing that, he's cost himself chances at 5-5, and ultimately it's just cost him confidence. I think if he can rebound well, it'll all be forgotten. But if that infects the rest of his night, it might affect his chances of making Saturday.
As for Alexander Merckx, he's looked fairly steady so far this evening, has he? Been quite consistent in the games he's played.
I can't read him. He's so quick, and he just gets on with it. But it's been an up and down first half of the night for him as well. And I think the only person who can be fully satisfied is Stefan Belmont.
Just quickly, the heat in here, how does that affect the players? You've played at venues like the Winter Gardens, which, to be honest, in its infrastructure isn't too dissimilar to the Live Lounge in Portsmouth. What are those arenas like to play in, and how does your preparation change for those types of conditions?
Well, I don't like the heat. I never have had. I'd much rather be in an air-conditioned commentary box, but as a player, you've got to do the things that make you feel more comfortable. And you've got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable as well. I think Stefan tonight has used his towel well. He's been perspiring, but getting rid of it quickly, hydrate well, and just be at ease with the fact that these are the conditions for everybody.
Which is why I admire the fact you're wearing a blazer this evening.
Just got to do it right.
You got to do it right. Who's going to do it right in this one then? Alexander Merckx. Paul Hogan kicks off the second half of our session. Paul's going to make it down to the commentary box to join Chris Murphy.
Yeah, and to let everyone into a secret, the blazer comes off when he's down here. It's all just for show. But Alexander Merckx is putting on a show tonight. A 4-3 win in his opener against Sebastian Białecki, the 29-year-old obviously nicknamed Alexander the Great. And speaking of great nicknames, Crocodile Dundee, Paul Hogan, 59 from Basingstoke.
Okay, first it's Alexander to throw
Hampshire.
first.
Well, he
Game
is
on.
trying to get off the mark for the evening, having lost to both Belmont and Białecki.
140.
Having beaten Sebastian, Merckx was on the wrong end of that 4-0 whitewash defeat by Owen Bates. That was then cancelled out for Bates by Belmont, who, as Henry and Paul were just describing, as maybe surprised a little bit by being the only unbeaten player after 2 matches each in this group. And I can
140.
That the blazer is on the back of the chair. And that means Paul Nicholson has returned
100.
from his little bit of expert analysis on the balcony just in time for Alexander Merckx to have an attempt at this 1-2-1. And it's a 1-2-1.
140.
It's under a little bit of pressure.
21.
Doesn't get a shot at the ball then.
57.
But it's a decent start from both players.
36.
Yeah, and needed from Hogan. But he might be a little bit annoyed because it's likely now that he'll lose this leg. And if he does lose a leg, he'll be thinking, what do I need to do to win a leg? It's 1 dart.
32.
Hogan does get his chance.
36.
Loves double 18, does Paul. Usually.
Game shown the first
But
leg.
plan B goes
Paul
to
Hogan.
plan. And an opening break for Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, much better.
Second
Much,
against
much
Paul
better.
to throw first.
Purposeful stuff from Paul Hogan.
Yeah, that double 18 gave him one of his best memories
59.
in his distinguished darts career. He had a 9-darter in an England shirt, and he hit double 18 for that 9-darter
140.
a few seasons ago. I remember seeing that for the first time, and the genuine joy in his face and the reaction of the audience when he hit that, it was stunning.
You know what's good about that leg for me, the one he's
100.
just played, is that we mentioned it in his previous match, too many darts going in the Big Five and other areas where he's misfiring. And his
100.
first visit of this match was 85, and you start to think, here we go again. But then he goes 140, 140 ton.
135.
If you're going to get a score with a 5 at the end, 135 is not exactly a bad one.
Yeah, we'll forgive him that. And he's playing really well
85.
here. So is Alexander Merckx. It's been a funny night where if one player's been averaging around 100, so has the other one. But if they've been averaging in the low 80s, so has the other one.
99.
I suppose it's like that song that they play at the lakeside. Follow the leader, leader, leader.
100. But you require 108.
Will Hogan extend his lead? Or will it be a share of the spoils for Merckx?
You don't see many young players going 18s
56.
first on a
Alexander
108.
requires 76.
It's very much an old school tactic. Double 18 for
Game shown
Alexander.
the second leg. Alexander
Superbly
Merckx.
done for a 15-darter. Broken straight back. Doesn't mess
Well, it
around.
is Alexander to throw first. Game on.
Love watching him play it. It's a very unusual style that he's got with that grip that where the dart is actually pointing towards the
140.
floor when he draws it back. And then he arcs it back towards the board very quickly. It's fairly wristy.
There's a touch of the
140.
Ronnie Baxter's about the grip. Not quite as closed up as Baxter is. You can still sort of see the dart in his hand. Baxter throws like it's
140.
completely gripped within his fist, doesn't he? But there's a touch of it there.
Yeah, there's a lot of that right hand
60.
on the dart and on the stem. But it's got the same pace as a Ronnie Baxter. Doesn't mess around.
49.
The action itself is almost nonchalant, isn't it? It's carefree.
97.
He does care, but it just looks like he doesn't. It's a very
58.
natural throw. You could possibly coach or coerce Alexander into doing something different, but it would be very much against what is natural to him.
Hogan didn't want to do anything different
114.
with his last start there and didn't. He matched the previous two.
Double top.
Game shot the
Superb.
third leg. Alexander
Superb.
Merckx.
You have to just look at Paul Hogan's face because that kind of thing has been happening to him all night.
It really has.
Fourth leg gets pulled to
I think that leg featured the shortest 180 call that Owen Binks has ever called. It's like you said it in fast forward.
100.
Well, 3 legs in, and Hogan's playing by far his best stuff of the night, yet he's still losing the match.
100.
Do you get the feeling that he's playing like a pace setter in a 5,000 metre race?
Well, it's interesting. He could have been 3-0 up, couldn't he, against Stefan Belmont? Had darts to win each of the first 3 legs. Instead, he found himself 2-1 behind, and it's kind of a similar scenario here.
177.
I think Henry hit the nail on the head. He said that there is the possibility of a big
60.
average tonight from any of these players. He's going crackers.
140.
It's a mark of respect to Paul Hogan that people will play this well against him. It's one of the first lessons I learned
100.
when I was coming
Alexander
through.
Merckx, 84.
Someone plays well against you, it's because they think you're a danger. And
Game
there's
shot on the
no
fourth
danger
leg.
that Merckx is going to lose this
Alexander
game the way he's
Merckx.
playing. His average is climbing.
Yeah, they flip-flopped the averages. It's now
Fifth leg, it's Alexander to throw first.
105.64
Game on.
for Merckx. Hogan's still over the 100. He's only missed 1 dart at double, but he's only had 2.
4 legs,
97.
6 minutes, 21. That's quick. Maybe not as quick as the game we had 3 weeks ago with Scott Baker getting it in
100.
5 minutes, 58 seconds. That was fast.
93.
Wasn't it Tommy Morris who was skipping around the yockey because he really wanted to get the quickest game? Connor Scott did that a lot last year as well.
100.
It's funny, isn't it, the records that people want to go for. We almost had a record this afternoon.
60.
James Hurrell. We thought he might have been a double top away, but he would have just been short of it, wouldn't he?
Yeah, we had it checked. And with Hurrell on 40 for a 4-1 win, Mitchell took at 100 and didn't give Hurrell that match start. If he'd hit it, it would have been 118.14. It would have been half a point short.
95.
Considering how he's
Only
finished in this game,
111.
might as well just give him this.
If he'd hunted that down, he would have had a chance.
59. Paul, you requires 66.
Treble 10 would give him that beloved double 18. Would go the 24 it. Does it bail him out?
48.
Can't find it.
Alexander required 52.
He's 3 from 4 in this match.
20.
And he doesn't
Paul, you
find the
require
mark.
18.
That may be the only shot he gets. Will he get any more?
14.
He will.
Alexander
He'll get 3
required
more minimum.
32.
Wasn't a bad miss for Paul Hogan, but it may not matter, and it does not matter. Because Alexander Merckx has produced a high-quality display there. An average in the end of 98.92, but the finishing is what won it. 4 out of 7. That's 57%, including a fabulous 1-1-4 checkout. And Alexander Merckx has got his 2nd win of the night with a 4-1 success over Paul Hogan. And coming up after the break, it'll be Sebastian Białecki against the so far undefeated Stefan Belmont.
Welcome back to the Super Series, where before the break, Alexander lived up to his namesake of the great, getting the better of Paul Hogan by 4-1 in a high-quality encounter, averaged just under 99. Paul Hogan himself just under 96, but the game swayed on a 1:14 checkout for Alexander Merckx to make it 2-1, with Paul Hogan having just hit a max himself. Right, next up for us, Sebastian Białowski in action. He takes on Stefan Belmont, looking to continue his consecutive winning run. Watching this one, it's Chris and Paul.
Thank you, Henry. And Sebastian Białowski and Stefan Belmont will battle it out. And it's a big, big match, really. If Belmont wins it, then he's already looking like he's in a very good position to qualify. But if Białowski wins it, then he goes level with Belmont and Merckx and leaves Owen Bates a game in hand behind and 2 points behind. We could have 4-on-4.
This group is really exciting.
120.
And it's happened again. That happened in the first visit of his... Was it the second visit of his first game?
It was the second visit, but it hit a 180 with the first visit. So if it's a 180 with the second visit here, he's done it in reverse, and we might have to
96.
Give him the moral 9 darter if he throws another 3 perfect darts in the third visit. Well, that's certainly not perfect.
That puts pay to that then. Okay. Moving swiftly on. This is their 4th meeting of the week. Every game they've had has had a minimum of 6 legs. It was a tight affair yesterday, won by Białowski because he had the perfect day, remember.
58.
He also beat Belly on Tuesday by 4-2, but in their first meeting, it was Belmont who got the win. One of only 3 defeats for Sebastian in Group A. He hastened to say that maybe this game is more important for Sebastian
76
than it is for Stefan. Because he's trying to keep pace with the 2 at the top, which is his opponent, and now Alexander Merckx on 4 points. Nice response there from Alexander, who has had a very up and down evening. He's got 1 match left against Belmont. Białowski has got Owen Bates in game 10 post this one. Of all of the players on that stage, it feels to me, and it appears to me as well,
138.
that Bolt is probably the most comfortable. He doesn't seem to be perspiring up there. He doesn't seem to look uncomfortable.
58.
And I think if you were to put him in the fridge or in a furnace, he'd act exactly the same.
Can he find a way above that into the bed? Yes, he can.
100.
That one comes up short.
Stefan, you require 80.
Belmont would love to hit the treble 20 to avoid that problem.
People have got to stop giving him shots.
This time he's put himself in a bit of trouble.
40.
Yeah, that was a bit of a messy
20.
visit. Sebastian has got 10s again.
Game shot on the
Talk
first
about
leg.
double
Sebastian
18 to double
Białowski.
9 being a tricky switch. 10s to 5s is no picnic, but it's something that you really should practice. And if he's spending time on doubles in the practice room here, or indeed at home or elsewhere, you could take a lot from this example.
95.
Going from double top to double 10, for a right-hander, it feels quite comfortable. But going from the right, where double 10 is, to where double 5 is just a bit more awkward because you're changing the line a bit and your body position will change too. When you're practicing, you've got to do things that will help you in a game. And there is a game called Transition, which Keegan Brown got me into, where you practice going from 20 to 10 to 5. That's what you practice in case you split it a couple of times.
96.
Belmont looking for 140 to leave 170.
Sebastian
55.
should start 19s here. Because he's part of the new school of counting where He wants to get 101 plus here.
95.
It's good. It doesn't get to the finish. But he knows because his opponent is on 255, he didn't have to go bullseye on dart 2, which if Stefan was on, say, 121 or something like that, he probably would have gone bull on dart 2.
But he's trying to work out what's the best thing to hit. He's on 178 here.
131.
Gone for the 18s, and he's actually done a good job there, finding a treble.
$100. Stefan, you've got 124.
He's got a 120 plus finish this time. He will have to go for the bull if he leaves it. He doesn't.
113.
Chance for Białecki to double the lead then.
76.
Carries on with that route that he's been going for the last few days,
36.
but it's off target.
11.
Belmont cannot afford to be off target with a first start. Concentrate on the big number. He does that. For 2, a double 4.
That might be slightly awkward.
3.
His dart's
Sebastian
leaning a little bit
required
left. That was
40.
not a prime guide for him.
Yeah, good call from Paul Nicholson alongside me.
Game shown the second leg.
And
Sebastian
good save
Białecki.
from Sebastian Białecki to double his lead in this match.
If your darts lean in the board, if they're not
Third leg, it's Sebastian to throw
straight
first.
in the board, it doesn't
Game
matter whether
on.
it's upright or flat or even leaning towards the floor. You have to understand how those darts behave when they hit each other.
60.
Białecki, when he throws from the right side of the oche, he gets his darts to lean to the right. Belmont is exactly the opposite. His are leaning left. So if he misses outside of a double on the right
93.
side of the board, it's not an ideal guide. He's got better guides on the left-hand side of the board. And if you are a darts fan thinking of an idea
99.
of who these guys are like, I would compare Belmont to Brendan Dolan in that regard. He gets his darts to land very similar to Brendan's. Białecki,
121.
bit more like Stephen Bunting, I would say. Ever so slightly more upright, though. There you go. Leaning to the right, as you can see.
30.
Leaning to the right, but landing to the left.
And there's the opposite. I know they're throwing from different parts of the oche, but that doesn't make any difference here. If he did throw from
43.
directly down the middle, it would still lean left.
It was literally the opposite because his dart landed to the right as well. And that's difficult to get past. Persevering maybe should have been switching with
92.
dart 2, and it's proved the point with dart 3.
Yeah, that clatter into that blocker just proves that when you shield that bed with the barrels that he has, which aren't the thinnest, maybe switching was the
100.
play.
Still though, Białecki in a good spot here. 2 up. And should be on something rather smaller than his opponent. Remember, who hasn't been beaten yet tonight.
140.
No, that's a 140 and a half.
Stefan, you've got 144.
Try to get the left-hand side of that 60 twice, and he did. If he's to get a single 20 here,
78.
the second 20,
Sebastian, you require
he'd
80.
rather be in the right half.
Or he wants to employ the Owen Bates tactic and throw a flatty. So that's not where he wants it. Now, where's he going? Moving back. Finding the best route.
60.
But comes up short. And he's
Stephen,
come up short on top
66.
quite a lot tonight. He's been brilliant on double 10, so it hasn't been a problem. But he might not get a go at that double. It's 2 at 18s for the Swiss star. Double 9.
Game
Oh, he
shown the
finds
third
it.
leg.
Białecki
Stefan
was
Belmont.
almost home and hosed, but Belmont has reeled him in.
Fourth leg, it's Stefan to throw first.
Two very
Game
quiet
on.
players. Men of few words. But men of many games this week. 18th game of the week.
100.
At the end of Saturday night, regardless of what happens, they will earn a day off on Sunday.
96.
Speaking to some of the people who have done full weekly campaigns, young men, young ladies, more experienced ladies and more experienced men, like Chris Mason, they've told me that at the end of the week,
100.
get to Sunday, they just want to be left alone for a few hours to recover. This is a marathon that they go through all week long.
96.
And they have the dreaded dart lag as well, where you've played early in the morning at 9:30, and now it's the midnight hour.
60.
Sensible going 19s first here for Sebastian.
99.
I wonder if there's any more young Polish stars coming through just like him. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a few, because I'm sure he's inspiring a lot of young kids in Poland to pick up their darts and practice when they finish their schoolwork.
140.
That was my motivation when I was at school. All I wanted to do was play darts with my Bob Anderson darts.
140. Stephen, you
I had to do my homework first.
101 then. The Belmont. Choices. 19s.
For me, this was the shot
41. Sebastian,
on Wednesday
requires
morning
70.
that proved that Białecki was going to change his plan. Well, that leaves 25. So what does he want to do now? It's 5 for double 10.
50.
On
Stephen,
Monday
you
and
require
Tuesday, that would be
60.
988 guaranteed. That's a good single. He doesn't have to move.
Game shot on the
Superb.
fourth leg. Stefan Beaumont.
And just like I said with Białecki, if he gets a shot like 60, he wants the single to be on the right side.
Fifth leg, it's
Belly
Sebastian
wants it
to
on the
throw
left.
first. Game on.
Purely because he can stay in rhythm and not have to move across that hockey and disrupt said rhythm. 2-2.
Well, this pair, of
125.
course, playing each other for the fourth time this week. Stefan Belmont and Sebastian Białecki.
57.
And it was 4-2 to Belmont when the pair met on Monday. It was 4-2 to Białecki when the pair met on Tuesday.
96.
And when they went head-to-head on Wednesday, it was 4-3 to Białecki. Now, the reason I'm making that point is because this is not the only time they've met at the Super Series. They're also in the same group
60.
in Series 1, Week 9, and Białecki won all 3 matches. So he's now won 5 out of 6 against this opponent here at the Super Series.
That's very apt.
100.
I think most of us, when we first heard about Białecki at the UK Open a couple of years ago, where he hit a 9-darter, we all pronounced his name
92.
incorrectly. And I got a very
No, I've always called him Sebastian.
crafty. I got a very interesting
45.
message from the wife of the world champion. And she said, it's not the way that we were saying it. And she sent me a voice note. And every time I need the pronunciation of a Polish
100.
player now,
Sebastian
I'll flick her a text and say,
135.
send me a voice note and tell me how this is said. So now we know it's Białecki.
And Białecki didn't need to go the bull route, which is a
95.
normal convention on 135. That's because Belmont isn't on a finish. So once again, he tees up tops. And Paul has been highlighting it all week. He came to the Super Series on
56.
Monday without a thought of
Sebastian
ever leaving
required
tops. He wanted
40.
to leave double 16, but he's changed his plan midweek. Tops hasn't worked out for him in this one. Double 10 usually has, but what about double 5?
30. Stephen, you require 136.
It's maybe not as effective tonight as it was yesterday. Look on the bright side, when it comes to 5s, At least if he misses it on the
60.
outside,
Specimen
it
required.
could help
10.
him. It could actually increase the size of the double. But he's going round the houses.
6.
How
Specimen
many
required.
chances
76.
is Stefan Belmont going to be gifted tonight by multiple players?
And how many chances is he going to take having been gifted them? Double top.
Game shown the
And
fifth
the gift
leg.
horse is once
Stefan
again
Belmont.
not looked in the mouth.
Look at it this way. Belmont's
So
first
if I get
opponent
Stefan
tonight,
to
Paul
throw
Hogan,
first.
had 11 darts at double and only hit 2. Then,
Game on.
against Owen Bates, Owen had 13 darts at a double, didn't hit any. And this one here, Białecki's had 13 darts at a double.
93.
He's at 2. Are we starting to see someone at the top of the table undefeated purely because his opponents have given him too much
59.
in the way of chances?
And what we were saying earlier, Paul, when one averages near 100, the other one averages near 100. When one averages in the low 80s, the other one basically copies.
Yeah. Well said.
140.
We might be looking at the first game to go against the darts since Belmont beat Hogan in game 2.
Just to remind you of what has happened so far
97.
tonight. Białecki went down in his first match, 4-3 to Alexander Merckx. Then Belmont got his first win that Paul just mentioned against Hogan. Owen Bates then whitewashed Alexander Merckx before Białecki
58.
beat Hogan 4-1. Then Bates was whitewashed himself by Stefan Belmont. Merckx beat Hogan 4-1. And this one currently
97.
going the way of the Swiss star.
Every time you say that, I think of Smith Star.
I like the sleeve on his shirt, Paul. It's a big plus.
138.
And a win here would be a very big plus for Stefan Belmont.
Yeah, his leg difference is going to be very, very healthy.
100. Stefan, you required.
If he takes this 72, it would go to +8. But most importantly, 6 points if he finds double top.
52.
Well, Białecki
Stefan, you
has
required 148.
an outside chance. And he's not going to take it. I mean, is it now correct to say that if Belmont hits this, then
Stefan, you required
Białecki would be
20.
hoisted by his own petard?
That is a horrible marker. Has to go to the right-hand side.
Yeah, saw the slight shuffle, and it's worked out, hasn't it? Moved across, knew exactly how much to adjust. And Stefan Belmont, you can see what he's thinking now. He's thinking that he might be playing in finals night because he's gone 3 from 3, and in doing so has kept a 4-point gap between himself and Sebastian Białecki, and the players chasing those top spots in this group. That is a big, big win for Belmont, who is looking still for a clean sweep tonight. Coming next, the man who hasn't won, Paul Hogan, faces Owen Bates.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where Stefan Belmont's perfect night continues. He gets the better of Sebastian Białecki by 4 legs to 2. And so we head to the final straight for Paul Hogan here this evening. He takes on Owen Bates. Looking to finish off with a win. Owen will see one more time after this in the final game of the session. Right, watching this one, Chris and Paul.
Thank you very much, Henry. Yes, it is the last knockings on Thursday night for Paul Hogan, and he's in need of a victory. If he loses here, it will be nil point for Crocodile Dundee, and Owen Bates would move 4 points clear of him, meaning that he would be that amount away from the all-important top 3 in qualifying for finals night. It wouldn't be completely game over, but the way this group has gone, you're expecting those top 3 to take points off each other. So he'd be looking at having to have the complete opposite experience tomorrow and win all of his matches.
Yeah, very much so. Well put. And I suppose what we have to do is look at the ideal scenario before the end of the session.
140.
Obviously, winning this game for Hogan is paramount. That would get him to 2 points. And then, ideally, he'd like Stefan to lose to Alexander next, because that would make sure that the top spot is only 4 points away instead of 6.
91.
What a day, by the way, for the Swiss. Stefan Belmont, top of this group. Thomas Jungens, top of Group C. Who would have seen that coming after Group A?
They're like the Federer and Wawrinka of darts.
60.
It has been a sensational day. And I think there were probably plenty of people out there who thought, do you know what? Considering what's happened this
60.
week, Jungens, he's going to be eliminated from Group C. Belmont is probably one of the weaker links in Group B. And the likelihood is they're both going to be leading going into Friday.
41.
They could both end up being on the stage on Saturday. Reunited.
And it feels so good.
60.
And this man, Owen Bates, I mean, he's not in as desperate need of a win of Paul Hogan. Of course, he's only actually played 2 matches. But if he loses this one, it puts him under pressure when he faces Sebastian Białecki.
And he require 150.
Say if Merckx were to beat Belmont and then Białecki beat him, he would suddenly find himself 4 points adrift at the end of the night.
See, this is why I like Group B. It's my favourite group of the
39. But we require
in qualifying,
140.
that is. So many things can happen. Even 140 checkouts.
130.
That's a big pull to the left, that one.
I mean, you require 111.
All the ones for Bates. Treble 20 to leave his favoured double 16, but he fails to find it.
59.
So Hogan
But we require
has a choice
10.
to make here. Double 5 or 2 for double 4. It looks like the former,
Game's on the
and it's
first
straight
leg.
in.
Paul Hogan.
And he's in the lead, despite Owen Bates getting in the way.
Adds to his leg
Second
count for
against
the night.
Owen
That's
to
his
throw
5th.
first.
2 legs in his first performance, then 1 in the next 2. Not that getting 3 legs in this contest would be
119.
an improvement in his eyes. He wants 4. Possibly. Or very little coming back.
81.
He's got a lot of idiosyncrasies, this young man, hasn't he?
Yeah, there's lots going on. That lean forward is one thing, but
45.
when you look at his feet, when he's throwing, his trailing foot, it's the toes that are just tickling the floor.
140.
Just watch that front foot on this occasion, then. He dresses the oki. Then he jumps. Just there. That little hop to get his foot into position. He probably doesn't even know he's doing it.
100.
Yeah, you saw that, the back foot as well. More Swan Lake than Super Series.
100.
What do you know about Swan Lake? But you're right, actually. It looks like he's about to do a layback spin in ice skating. It's a great stance. It's probably not something you would coach.
93.
I should have saved that line for 2-2, shouldn't I? Might be 1-1 in a moment. Owen Bates looking at 144.
95.
Oh, look at that jump on dart 3. It was a violent pull to the left-hand side. But 144 might turn into 0.
Game
And he makes it
on the
disappear.
second leg.
What a wonderful shot that was from
Bates.
Owen. Superb.
And rightly appreciated by his opponent. Good
Feel like it's Paul to throw
showing of
first.
sportsmanship
Game
there from Paul Hogan. Appreciating the excellence of Owen Bates.
Can you imagine the excitement if we had
100.
a Super Series week? And I know there's been a lot of ideas floated around for certain themed weeks, like Women's Week
123.
or North American Week, that kind of thing. But imagine if it was under 25s only, how exciting and quick it would be.
95.
It's very rare to find a young player that's sluggish now, isn't it? They've all grown up watching the likes of Adrian Lewis, Michael van Gerwen, and they throw at that
58.
kind of pace, whereas players from an older age maybe have seen Dennis Priestley and Phil Taylor and mimic that.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why players of my age,
84.
fast ones, are quite rare. I know that Steve Beaton was so exciting to watch in the 90s because he was regarded as one of the quickest players around. If you go a little bit further back, actually,
I was going to say, who was the
56.
first fast player you remember?
Richie Gardner, unquestionably. I actually said to my dad once, he's thrown too quickly, Dad.
44.
They do like to get on with it these days, particularly the young guns like this man.
60.
Just think how quick the last game of the night will be when he meets Sebastian Białecki.
If you think about the intricacy of passing the dart from left hand to right hand, if you're right-handed, of course, just throwing the
81.
dart quick is hard enough. But look at what happens from left hand to right hand. You've got to be able to do that without looking. So up to there, straight out. That is an act of juggling, what they're doing right there.
168.
Yeah, and he's pulled it off
97.
perfectly. Might not avail him anything. Now, a young breed here would have gone double 19 with that second dart.
57.
Hogan going old school, but it not working out. Giving Bates the opportunity to go for
Games on the
his
third
favourite
leg.
double,
Owen Bates.
which he's now hit twice.
Show of confidence there.
Paul Fleggett's Owen to throw first.
It's almost like he was
Game
wearing one of those fancy Miami Vice jackets. Just gives a little flick of the shirt. All of a sudden, things are very rosy.
140.
Well then, Paul, we are deep into the first Group B session of the week. That means you've now cast your eye over every single one of our
140.
dozen darters in action this week. So when it comes to finals night,
I think I know what's coming.
what's your early call? Where's your 50p to be
54.
joining the cast at Champions Week from this week of players?
Have I got the
41.
time until the board revolves? I don't think that it's going to come from Group C.
140.
Okay.
In fact, I'm going to retract that. I'm going to go for either
140.
Andy Bolton
Only
or
167.
James Hurrell.
So you don't think it's going to come from Group B?
Yeah, I just get the feeling that it could be
142.
not B.
Well, OB could not find the bullseye, but he will be back. Didn't have to go
44.
for it. Hogan
Only
wasn't on a
required
finish, but that's the
25.
mood he's in. This is a little bit rare. Yeah, do your hair.
Game
Looking
shot the
good.
fourth leg.
Owen Bates,
Owen
3-1.
Bates.
Audacious young man who's now averaging over 91.
Fifth leg, it's Paul to throw first. Game
He
on.
seems to have fixed the doubles as well. I mentioned that display of none from 13 in his previous contest, which gifted Stefan
99.
Belmont that contest because no way should he have won that 4-0.
Well, Paul Nicholson just dangled out an idea during this match
134.
about an under-25 week, and Henry Deacon must be a little bit bored on the balcony or just enthusiastic. He's actually come up with a week for you, Paul. Luke Littler, Owen Bates,
94.
Nathan Gervin, Jared Cole, Sebastian Białecki, Cam Crabtree, then Bradley Roos, Lewis Gurney, Reece Colley, Keelan Kay, Jack Vincent, and Moreno Blanc.
180.
I challenge our viewers to better what I've just read out from Henry. At MSS Darts on Twitter,
100.
get in touch. Top 12 players under the age of 25. Unfortunately, Paul, you're ruled out, mate.
I reckon Henry's just been trolling the Dark Connect system.
171.
What a performance from Bates. This is just an insight into what is possible with this kid.
He's definitely in, isn't he? Look at this. This is for a 10 dart leg.
Oh, and it requires 16.
In Henry's words, is he in? He might be in for 2 more points.
Won't be 10. Won't be 11.
No score.
Won't be 12, and it might not yet be a leg he wins.
Doesn't go 18s this time. Tries a different method.
76.
And fails.
I mean, it requires
One
16.
of those nights for Paul Hogan, and it might be about to come to an end because Owen Bates has produced yet another dazzling darting display. Watch out for this kid because he could be something special. Paul Hogan will be thinking that right now. What could he have done? Bates with an average of 95.57. The game really turned when he took out that stunning 144, and Paul Hogan heads home without any points on the board. Bates will be back in the final match of the night, but before that, Stefan Belmont, unbeaten, takes on Alexander Merckx.
Every Saturday, we open our doors for our weekly finals night.
For a unique and intimate darts experience.
Meet the Dart Stars and even the team off the telly
Here at our purpose-built venue in Portsmouth.
every single Saturday evening.
Tickets can be booked via this QR code
Or at www.dartshop.tv for a very small booking fee.
Follow us at MSS Darts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
For all the latest ticketing news.
All you need to do, log on, book, turn up, and the action gets underway from 7:30 p.m.
So what are you waiting for?
Get your tickets to the darts.
We look forward to welcoming you to the MODUS Super Series very soon.
So that is all the latest ticketing news. The latest news on the Oki is Owen Bates completed a 4-1 victory over Paul Hogan in impressive style, a 1-4-4 finish en route, a 96 average, just under 95.5 in the end. Paul Hogan, though, as far as this evening's concerned, no wins for him. So Stefan Bellman and Alexander Merckx are about to complete their nights. And as you can see, as far as the table is concerned, Bellman the only player undefeated in the group, but a win for the Dutchman would put him level on points with Bellman ahead of their final games of the session. Remember, Bates plays Białowski, so 3 players potentially could be on 6 following the end of this one. So plenty to play for in this final game for the session for this pair. In the commentary box, Paul and Chris.
Thank you very much, Henry. Yep, a couple of battles ahead, but will it be a perfect night for Stefan Belmont? And who would have thought that before the night got underway? I'm not sure I would.
Game on.
I'm not even sure he would, Paul.
I agree. Just looking at the complexion of how this has worked out for Stefan, it's great for him. All of his opponents have made
41.
errors on doubles. Alexander has not done that tonight. If you look at how many darts at double he's
100.
had in his 3 matches, first game, 8 shots. He hit 4 of them. That's world class. He had 3 darts at a double against Owen Bates. Didn't hit any of them.
100.
We can forgive that. And then 7 darts at a double and hitting 4 against Paul Hogan.
140.
So he doesn't necessarily need that many darts based on what we've seen tonight to get the job done. So if you want to get over the line for 8 points tonight, Stefan, you might have to put in your best performance.
61.
Yeah, that mix for Merckx of a close win, a big win, and a big defeat.
100.
If you are going to play with that pattern, then maybe Belmont gets a narrow win here and he does get the perfect night. 299 really should be starting on 19s. That's an error.
81.
I feel
He's on a record 161.
like we say that too often. Considering the level of some of these players, they should know
65.
that. And if you don't, it's your fault.
And maybe that's one of the little bits of content we can do, Paul, here at Super Series, a counting masterclass, because I think a few of the players could
94.
be watching it.
Alexander record 96.
And we're going to give them some sort of subscription discount.
Well, he knows the numbers here, 99.
78.
He couldn't
Stephen
locate
Record,
the double, and Belmont
124.
gets an opportunity. Now he can find one treble here and get a go at the bull. That treble now has to be treble 18. And he has found it. Bully for belly.
Game shot in the first leg. Stefan Belmont.
The ultimate opportunist. It just keeps happening.
Second leg is Alexander to throw first.
They
Game
miss, he hits, he wins. Honestly, if they were going to write a
83.
movie about Stefan Belmont tonight, it would be Stefan gets an opportunity.
And he's taking most of them. 4-2 win against Paul Hogan. 4-0 win against
43.
Owen Bates. And another 4-2 win against Sebastian Białowski.
I hate to be harsh, but this is about as realistic as I can get.
60.
It is conceivable that Belmont tonight could have no points. I know he won 4-0 against Bates, but considering the amount of darts that were missed against him, in most of the matches, Bates would have won that game.
140.
It's amazing how you can get a little bit of fortune in this sport.
140.
Yeah, he has really taken the made the most of his chances, taken those opportunities. And that's all you can do, isn't it?
93.
Yes, not as if he's sending them a request of missing doubles. He's just waiting and
58.
hoping. Some legs, they don't even get that chance. He takes them out.
This could be one of those legs again. Merckx is on a finish here.
Whoa,
Belmont
180.
has put himself on a much smaller one. So Merckx now knows he has to hit. And he's not going to.
104. Stephanie required 45.
It's a missed single, but it's still a shot.
13.
Cost himself
Only required 56.
by missing that single. It's not the only one he's missed this week. It has happened a few times.
Can he use that?
Game shot on the second
It's
egg.
in. It's all square.
Alexander Merckx.
And Alexander Merckx this time has kind of picked his opponent's pocket.
So look at Stefan to throw first. Game on.
Currently sitting in third position in the table. Bates has got a game in hand on him at the completion of this one.
92.
He's all square with leg difference. With those 2 wins from 3 games. Just how happy
140.
would Merckx be with only 4 points? I think based on what we've seen, he won't be happy unless he walks away with 6.
There's an old cliche in darts that darts
97.
is on the day. So I'm going to put you another question. I'm going to put it on the other outcome of this match. Do you think Stefan Belmont, if he
100.
doesn't win this game, could still not qualify from this group?
Yes, absolutely. Because you have to dig deep into the urgency aspect of this sport, the knockout aspect.
128.
Why do you think he was so happy to get that 3rd straight win? Because he knows he's probably watched a lot of this over the last
100.
couple of years.
Yeah,
that when people get those 6 points, they're close. And he's picking up points that he wouldn't usually get.
Yeah, that was the widest Cheshire Cat grin I've ever seen from Stefan.
94. Alexander required 161.
Might not be smiling if Merckx can work this out, but he can't. So Belmont will be back and will get a dart at least the bullseye.
65.
Which,
Stephanie
of course,
required 90.
he's already hit in this match.
Go high. For the ball.
58.
Good leave.
Alexander required 96.
Yeah, and you can see from his reaction that he thought exactly the same, but it may not matter because Merckx, he's looking for double 9.
78.
Fails to find. Belmont
Stephanie
returns.
required 32.
Double 9 has cost him a couple of times already. Here's me saying that Merckx is not going to make the same mistakes as everybody else. He's already had 6 darts at double.
Game shot on the
And
third.
Belmont's taking full
Stefan
advantage of it
Belmont.
again. This is about as predictable as the Marvel universe sometimes. You know
Alexander
exactly
to
what's
throw
going to happen at the end of the
Game on.
movie.
But he's now 2 legs away from completing what would be a perfect night. 4 wins from 4.
97.
Stefan Belmont, if he does go on to win this game, that will take his tally to 8 points. That's a live league
40.
table, and it would leave Alexander Merckx 4 points adrift, but still in the top 3. Although Sebastian Białecki could change that
125.
if he wins his last match. And we think Paul Hogan, we said off air before, we think he might be as good as done already.
Yeah. He's got a really big uphill task.
140.
Just to be safe, get yourself to 10 points as soon as possible. And
96.
10, you're in.
What does he want, Paul Hogan, from this last 2 matches to have the best possible chance? He needs, really, Merckx and Bates to stay on 4, doesn't he? So he kind of wants Belmont to go away.
100.
And Białecki, even though he's the one immediately in front of him, stops someone else getting to 6.
Yeah, He wants somebody's leg
96.
difference to plummet. And ideally, he wants someone to go and be undefeated, really. Apart from the game that he's got tomorrow. So I think ideally he wants
95.
Belmont to win this, and then he wants to beat
87.
Belmont tomorrow. And then for everything else to jostle in his favour come Friday.
46.
No ball found by Merckx, and
Stephanie
Belmont may
Maguire,
yet get another go at that
126.
target. Missed it for the 90, hit it for the 124. Now, single 19 would leave it for the 126, and that's what he gets. So it's another go at the middle
101. Alexander required 41.
on the green, but not in the hole.
Yep.
And that's a fair way off.
25. Stephanie required 25.
But again, his opponent's missed, giving him an opportunity, and Stefan Belmont has...
Game show on the
hit.
4th leg. Stefan Belmont.
This is getting silly. It is a very strong mindset to have. If you walk onto that
Fifth leg, it's
stage,
Stefan to throw
saying
first.
to yourself, not out loud, just to yourself,
Game on.
if you miss, I will hit. It's the way it's said, I will hit. It's enforcing positivity into your game.
100.
And that's exactly what's happened to him all night long.
But also,
60.
winning breeds confidence, however it comes about, and then confidence can breed more confidence. Suddenly, we could see a very different Stefan Belmont on Saturday to the one we saw on Monday.
Correct. The mushroom effect, especially of 2023, where he is playing his best darts
180.
of his career. He'd never won on the European Tour until 2023. Now he's done it twice.
180.
Speaking of twice, he needed that, and he still needs more luck, more fortune.
May have just got a little bit there. But Belmont straight back in.
85.
And that means he probably needs 2 trebles here. Well, why stop at 2, Alexander?
180. Stephanie require
Back-to-back 180s, and he might lose the leg. Can he leave 36? He can.
100.
Now,
Alexander
Merckx has got to hit
81.
this. Brilliant. Brilliant leg of darts from Alexander Merckx, but does it result in him winning the leg?
57.
It doesn't, and it may
Stephanie
result in Stefan
required
Belmont
36.
winning every single match tonight.
It's his 19th game of the week, and it might be his best of the lot.
Game
Belly's going to get
shot
you.
on the match.
And he's got the lot.
Stefan Belmont.
8 points from 8. You're going to have to wipe that smile up his face, but it's not going to disappear for at least 20 hours. A really good performance. 124 on the bull. His best effort on the finishing. Overall, it was excellent as well. His highest winning average of the week, just at the right time. Good night, Stefan. We'll see you on Friday night. But we do have one more game left to go. It is Białowski and Bates to finish us up after this.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where Stefan Belmont has completed the card on night 1 of Group B, deposing of Alexander Merckx by 4 legs to 1. So he moves on to 8 points in the group. As you can see, he has got a 4-point lead on both Owen Bates and Alexander Merckx. Bates in action in our final game of the evening against Sebastian Białecki. A win for the English player would put him onto 6 points. If Białecki can pick up the points, then you're going to have a chasing pack on 4 with Belmont in a commanding position in the group. Right, for one final time this evening, let's hand over to our commentary team, Paul Nicholson, Chris Murphy.
Thank you, Henry. And it is the last time out tonight for this pair, Bates and Białecki. 2 young guns, 2 speedsters in this sport.
Okay, first leg, it's Owen to throw first.
Despite
Game on.
a really good start to the night for Białecki, despite losing the first match 4-3, won his next one 4-1, but maybe a bigger match for him than it is for Owen Bates. Because if Bates beats him, he finds himself outside the top 3 in those provisional places for qualifying and finds himself 4 points behind Bates himself.
96.
Yeah, things could get a bit sticky for Sebastian if he loses this one, but you've got to think that on paper, this might be
100.
the stickiest situation of them all. Because we saw Owen Bates win 4-1 against Hogan with the most accomplished display we've seen tonight. We've seen some great darts. But picking 3 from 4, which is almost what we're predicting now.
100.
It'll be a lot easier to do that, maybe, if Bates wins this one.
57. Only
Well, he's going to have
6
6 darts to take out 161 in the opening leg, Owen Bates. And he's going to leave it handy.
Cast your mind back. It's only a couple of weeks ago when Kevin Blommer
81.
was in a Group A with Christian Kist. He got 22 points in that Group A campaign. In Group B, he didn't qualify.
96. Only require 80.
This is a very different skill in the nighttime sessions. Double 10.
Done this a couple of times. Step back, reset, refocus.
Game show on the first
And
leg. Owen Bates.
Produce the goods. 1-0 Bates, and Białecki will find himself in that perilous position that Paul was just talking
Second leg, it's
about.
Sebastian to throw first.
Blommer
Game.
found himself in a fortnight ago.
Think about the final game of the group. Merckx, Białecki.
180.
Think about how important it may turn out to be that Białecki lost that game from a commanding
58.
position. We're only speculating at this point, but I didn't expect Sebastian to just have 2 points at this stage.
100.
I did think that Owen might have 6 or 8 points. I thought he was one of the top dogs in this group.
134.
And just to remind you one more time, late in the evening, he was 8-1 to win the group.
Yeah,
Just a little bit silly.
If he wins this match, he's
57.
just 2 points behind Stefan Belmont, the league leader. Of course, if he beats him tomorrow, then that's that 2 points got back.
57. Sebastian require 164.
It's in his own hands. Beats Bates twice. 6 points, looking good. And that would
60.
leave Alexander Merckx in the bottom 2 before he plays his first game against Stefan Belmont. But that scenario,
180.
how has he got that in?
Sebastian require 104.
Has he got magnets on the end of his darts? It's changed this
56.
leg, that maximum.
When he requires 72.
Yeah, it was a monumental maximum from Owen Bates, and now he's looking. Well, now he's looking for 71. And going that route on 72 can cause that problem. Any other route, he'd have been able to go for a single and then the bull after that
32.
misfire.
Sebastian required 48.
Yeah. Couldn't have put it better myself. Hang about.
Game's
gone back
on
to
the
plan
second
A.
leg. Sebastian Białowski.
Doesn't matter as long as it works.
Well, maybe it's just the change. I know the best
Delegates are
example I
in to
can
throw
think of that would do that kind of thing, not just change where he was throwing the darts, he would literally throw how he was throwing the darts. And that's a 3-time world
57.
champion, John Part. He would do that kind of thing just to sharpen himself up again.
You know who else used to do that? Mr. T.
Yes, the GOAT.
100.
Well, I'm going to end this Thursday evening with a bit of tungsten trivia, Paul.
140.
And I'm
Here
gonna
we go. I'm feeling this spot that's about to get very hot.
I'm going to give you a leg to answer the question. Now, we all know that Sebastian Białowski made it to the UK Open quarterfinals in 2022. But what happened, what standout moment happened, and it's two things for him at the UK Open in 2021.
58.
He had a 9-darter.
Correct. That was against Jim McEwen. And what happened in the next match he played?
Somebody hit a 9 against him.
Correct.
100.
There you go. That lasted long, didn't it?
I rule.
It's a Van der Waal. He won both of those games, Białowski.
85.
I think the only reason I know that is because I was sitting right next to you when it happened.
If you got that at home before Paul Nicholson did, then well done.
140. Oh, and he recorded 161.
161 for Bates. A real champagne shot. He's not going to take it out. So Białowski on 78 to
Sebastian
break
recorded
Bates and lead this
78.
match.
Oh, that's superb.
Game
so
on
is
the
that.
third leg. Sebastian
This is
Białowski.
exactly what he needs. And if Białowski gets the win, that's going to be really good news for Stefan Belmont.
Game on.
He's at the top on 8 points, and he could have 3 people behind him by 4.
45.
Talk about a good day for the Swiss. My word. If you thought that it was going to be Belmont at the top of Group B and Youngans at the top of Group C, then you know more about darts than I do.
Well, I'm just going
58.
to pose the question. Would it actually be the best result for him? Because if Białowski loses the match,
60.
the man in 4th place, the man outside the top 3, he's 6 points behind Belmont. And we just said earlier, it is possible, based on what we've seen this week, that Belmont could have the reverse night of tonight and could still be catchable.
Yeah, there's a couple of ways of looking at it.
He won't be thinking that. He'll be thinking, I need one more win.
Yeah. And that is the right attitude. And go out and get it early.
Yeah, get it yourself. Don't think about the people behind you and what they're doing.
Yeah, and then you think after that, do you know what? I'm not happy with 10 points. I want to get 16.
100.
And of course, with Paul Hogan still on 0, that 10 points isn't yet a guarantee either.
Yeah. And do you know who was the best at doing that in Group B? Robert Owen. He would
39.
self-motivate so well. He would never be happy with 10, 12, 14 points. He'd want the lot. And we're talking about
95.
the most successful person in Super Series history.
Yeah, now with a PDC Tour card to his name once again. Another man who's had a great run at the UK Open, in fact. Oh, what a great visit that is from Białowski. Every time it looks like Owen Bates is taking some kind of grip of this game, Białowski seems to do it. But this could turn the tide. Oh, what a shot. And that's the second time tonight he's had a finish like that. A 1-4-4 tungsten tide turner earlier in the evening. And now a stunning 1-4-8.
We've had a 170 this week from Tommy Lishman, but I hasten to say that finish was better.
97.
Well, when you consider the context, the fact that his opponent had just hit a 180 to tee up double top, and then he pulls that out.
137.
They make you feel good. Really good. I think there's only one better feeling when it comes to finishing than that. When somebody rejects a ball, lays up, and says to you, you're not going to hit this big out. And then you do. But even when Bates hits Białowski hard there, his reaction was minimal.
121.
I love watching these two play. If this is what we're going to get for darts' future, I'm all in.
Yeah, really, really watchable,
27.
engaging, entertaining game of darts.
Winning
But
record
Białecki
143.
suffering, not the first time, a dart off dart bounce out.
57.
Must get into 2-dart range here, you feel. 98 is the target. He's not going to get there. And his fate
85.
for Thursday night and Friday
Winning
morning
record 86.
maybe close to being sealed. It's another 54 calling for Bates. Bullseye.
61. Sebastian record.
This would be even better than the 148.
I was just thinking the same thing, and I'm sure he's thinking that as well. But he's not going to do it. For a simple 25.
59. Only required 25.
The most practiced finish in the game. Can put Owen Bates ahead. And again, takes a moment to focus.
Game show.
How good is that? And how much was that in the middle? Białecki backed into the corner. Needs them both. Otherwise, it's only 2 points.
See if I get Sebastian to throw first. Game on.
And that could be a problem. Could be a big, big problem for Sebastian Białecki.
100.
If he returns tomorrow and loses again to Owen Bates, then Bates and Belmont would be 6 clear. If Alexander Merckx were then to beat Belmont
60.
in game 2, then he'd also be 6 clear, and this group would be as good as over after a couple of games have been played on Friday. The complete opposite kind of scenario of what happened in this group last week.
$100.
Fabulous
180.
resolve, fabulous fight. Potential 11 dart leg. But Bates might come up with the goods.
133. Sebastian required
The 171 would have left the 170.
$56.
Białecki sets up. It looks like we are going the distance.
48. Sebastian required 40.
Only the first match of the night went all 7 legs. That involved Sebastian Białecki.
Game shown the 6th leg.
The last match
Sebastian
of the
Białecki.
night also goes all 7 legs. He was on the wrong end of the opening result.
7th and final leg. It's Owen to throw first. Game on.
Will be in the wrong end of the... Will he be in the wrong end of the curtain closer?
$140. $78. $100.
Well, Białecki's making a move here. Bakes is going to have to pull out a big one again.
96.
Even with that, Sebastian's taken the darts. If you haven't already noticed, Paul Nicholson's made his way to the balcony
95.
to have a chat with Henry Deacon.
$100.
But this match is on a knife edge.
$95.
$71 points between Białecki and being level with Owen Bates and Alexander Merckx. If he misses, Bates could condemn him to just 2 points tonight. He's back to plan
31.
B that became plan
And
A.
you require 117.
But now he's relying on Owen Bates missing. Yeah, choosing tops again there. Interesting after he went for double 16 earlier in the match. And it is tops for Owen Bates. What a moment this could be. He knows it. And so does the man behind him.
77. Sebastian, you require
But that is high
40.
and not handsome. And Białecki gets 3 at the same target. He's already missed 1.
Game
But he
shot
gets
and
there in the
match.
end. And
Sebastian
that makes this
Białecki.
group very, very interesting going in to Friday night's action. Sebastian Białecki does get his second win of the evening. Probably, you have to say, he deserved that points tally of 4 as well. He and Bates and Alexander Merckx have that after that 4-3 success, a 93 average, 50% on the doubles, and a decent display, though he did survive that match start. Right, Henry Deacon is alongside Paul Nicholson.
Chris, thank you very much. Paul Nicholson, as you can see, is with me up here on the balcony to assess what we have seen this evening. We'll begin by talking about Stefan Belmont, because we said up here before the show began that there's a possibility that he could kick on from Wednesday. Well, he did more than just that tonight.
He did kick on, but he was given too many chances to do so. If people were more ruthless against him, then there's no way he walks away with 100% tonight. But fair play, he's worked really hard. He has got himself 1 foot in the finals, but he's still got more work to do.
He most certainly has. And we have a look at some of his clutch finishing at big time. So you can see here, this is 2-0 down to Sebastian Białecki. Draws at 66. Now, if that double 9 doesn't go, he's probably, well, he's going 3-0 down most likely. And then again, this 1-2-4 against Alexander Merckx.
Yeah, he's been living on a knife edge most of the night, but you've got to give him credit. He's been stopping people from getting their shots, their second shots and third shots, because he's been hitting shots like that 1-2-4. And if he's not feeling fortunate tonight, then I don't think he's going to feel fortunate at all this week.
Because if we have a look at the table, yes, Stefan Belmont is top of the pile, but look elsewhere, that has fallen very nicely for the Swiss player, because that is a bit of a melee in mid-table.
I think it has, because if you've got that 4-point cushion overnight, there's one of two things. You're going to think, I'm in a very secure position, but you've got to be careful. You can't afford to take your foot off the gas. But having a 4-point cushion after day 1 in Group B, that's rare. It doesn't happen very often. You've got to take full advantage of it.
But more than that, having a look at the legs difference bracket, he's 9 in front of the next best player.
Yeah, that works. It really does. I think everything has gone his way, and everything's gone the way of the Swiss today as well. Superb for Younghans, superb for Belmont, and they've both got a great chance of making Saturday night. But how will Bates feel with the number 2 spot? He did have a chance of taking us to a very different scenario. I think Sebastian right now is probably feeling quite fortunate.
So Owen Bates missed that dart tops on the 117, and when he hit the 148, it looked like a game-changing moment that was just swaying things in his direction.
Yeah, I think the adrenaline was pumping in that shot as well. He really enjoyed it, especially when Sebastian was hitting a maximum to leave his small number. But ultimately, the great nature that Sebastian's been showing us all week, that patience and that poise, and sometimes flip-flopping between plan A and plan B when it comes to the doubles, it got him over the line against a very dangerous opponent, and that 2 points might be crucial.
As for Paul Hogan, no points from his opening night, but actually if you break down some of the performances he put in this evening, there was some really good stuff. There was a 95, one of those defeats as well.
Not too bad, but not good enough. Unfortunately, he was punished for all of his misses. And it just goes to show the strength of Group B when someone of his experience and skill is walking away with 0.
Most certainly. And just quickly, Alexander Merckx, we spoke about him a little bit on the balcony at the midway point. He's just got this, it looks like this streamlined, should I say, consistency about him.
Very up and down, very exciting to watch, but a typically Dutch player in the fact that he's quick and slightly unpredictable. He can do the brilliant, but some of the in-between stuff needs a bit of work. But I think Merckx has still got a superb chance of qualifying. I wouldn't be shocked to see him maybe even get towards the top.
We've got 2 well-poised groups coming up, haven't we?
It's going to be a great Friday. I'm really intrigued to see who comes through Group C, because that's on a knife edge itself. But as far as this one is concerned, we're probably looking at 3 people from 4 now.
Well, it has been quite the day here at the Super Series. I think it's time for a little bit of shut-eye before we go again.
Why not?
Why not, indeed? Well, hopefully you can join us. We're going to kick off the action at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon on the MODUS Super Series YouTube channel. I might not be here if I keep stumbling on this way. And then we're going to be joining our friends at Sporty Stuff TV from 3 o'clock before the action resumes in Group B from 10 p.m. this evening. Well, as far as Stefan Belmont's night is concerned, it was absolutely perfect. The rest of the field have got an uphill battle to try and catch him. Bye-bye.